Chapter 341. Sasuke vs Neji. His fighting spirit is somewhat high. Now he has been wanting to fight Hyuga Neji. After all, Sasuke wanted to see that the disciples who had been taught by Lord Gongyi were really that powerful. Soon, the exam began. The ring are Yamanaka Suno and Moonlight Kaziba. The strength of the two people is not bad, and they fought each other for a while on a small scale. Taijutsu and simple ninjutsu are constantly intertwined, and soon Yamanaka Suno gradually loses his strength. The battle is over. This time, Moonlight Fengyu wins. While, seeing that Yamanaka Suno was no longer able to support, Baruka immediately announced the results. Next time, Uzumaki Naruto vs. Lee Rock. Soon, in the second game, it was Naruto's turn. Yo, Naruto, I can actually become an opponent with you. Cutting a watermelon head, Little Lee in green tights looked at him and smiled. 3220. Naruto looked helpless and looked at him and shrugged. Salute each other and the battle begins again. Come on, Naruto. Little Lee didn't talk nonsense anymore, and the whole person kicked his legs towards him. Bang 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 bang. A set of skilled physical movements made Naruto bit Kiba a little bit too much. At this time, Naruto even began to be dazzled and gradually lost. Soon, without any suspense, Little Lee successfully used Teishu to win Naruto. Bastard. Hearing Maruka's announcement of the final result, Naruto felt very unwilling. But there was nothing he could do, he could only look at Little Lee and walked off the ring. The time is not long, and the assessment duel is still going on. But most, all, were as bland as ever, and everyone felt bored. When can I get to Sasuke and Neji? I'm also looking forward to the showdown between the two. Who does he think will win? I think it's Neji. He's Lord Gongyi's apprentice. The students standing under the ring began to discuss here. Compared with Sasuke and Hyuga Neji. Because of the two of them, they are now very famous in the whole ninja school. Next, Hyuga Neji vs. Uchiha Sasuke. A long time, when the end was about to end, everyone who was about to fall asleep immediately spirited up. They all stared at Sasuke Uchiha and Hyuga Neji who were walking towards the ring. Now the two people that everyone is looking forward to the most, they are about to face off. At this moment, he walked quietly into the ring. Hyuga Neji didn't care at all, and he didn't show any nervousness. He followed Gongyi since he was a child, and what he learned was naturally the most solid. It's not at all from the ninja school in this mere ninja school, so he can compete with himself. The current Hyuga Neji came to the school is actually just. The Hyuga clan let him go through the scene. Otherwise, now he prefers Tenten to go to Gongyi's side. Of course, he doesn't care. But at this moment, Sasuke, he started to get serious. For Hyuga Neji, he has a high fighting spirit. Okay, the showdown begins. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. When Iruka announced the start, Uchiha Sasuke flicked his wrist and threw several shuriken at Hyuga Neji. Immediately after that, without waiting for Hyuga Neji to make another move, he was immediately kicked his legs and rushed out, punching him. He wants to fight quickly and prove his strength. Huh. Seeing Sasuke take the lead, Hyuga Neji snorted and didn't care. He also threw out his shuriken and started a counterattack. Sound of the ninja collision appeared, and Hyuga Neji and Uchiha Sasuke were already fighting together. Of course, the current Uchiha Sasuke is already terrified. He feels that he is about to be suppressed by Hyuga Neji just after the fight. Uchiha Sasuke immediately dodging, ready to use ninjutsu towards Hyuga Neji. However, he felt that he couldn't get out at all, and his entire hands were even more painful from being beaten. Not a level opponent at all. Uchiha Sasuke can deeply feel that Hyuga Neji didn't even use his full strength. Thinking of this, Uchiha Sasuke is also vaguely angry in his heart. After all, as a member of the Uchiha clan, he also has his own pride. Biting Kiba, Sasuke Uchiha did not retreat, but went forward and prepared to fight against Hyuga Neji. Yes. Hyuga Neji looked at Uchiha Sasuke, so he had not lost. He was a little surprised. I just used normal strength just now, and I could easily suppress him. But I didn't expect that the current Uchiha Sasuke actually has a high fighting spirit and looks a little bad. Hyuga Neji has followed Gongyi for a long time, and he wants to let others see his jokes. Besides, his teacher is Gongyi, if being stumped here at the ninja school. Then such a face, he can't afford to lose it at all. Thinking of this, Hyuga Neji does not wait. Uchiha Sasuke finds an opportunity to use ninjutsu again, and he will immediately be whole. Dodge. With a swish, Sasuke Uchiha only felt a flower in front of him. By the time he reacted, Hyuga Neji had already put Kububu behind him. As long as he takes a step back, he will be stabbed directly. Who loses? It's clear at a glance. Hyuga Neji, without having the slightest effort, subdued him. As expected, Neji is amazing. That's natural, he was taught by Mr. Gongyi, just like Kimimaro, the super genius of the previous class. Kimimaro, I also really want to be Lord Gongyi's apprentice. Seeing Uchiha Sasuke's defeat so fast, there was an uproar in the entire ring. Everyone looked at Hyuga Neji, who walked down the ring very calmly with envious eyes. Almost the entire Konoha village knows that he of the Hyuga clan was taught by Gongyi himself. However, Hyuga Neji did not disappoint Gongyi, and now the whole person is very prestigious in the ninja school. Damn, he is really strong. Uchiha Sasuke walked off the ring with a pale face, looking at Hyuga Neji's back. He clenched his fists. If I can be accepted as an apprentice by Lord Gongyi, 6. I should be able to defeat that man. At this time, Sasuke has begun to slowly rise out of his thoughts. Find Gongyi and let him accept him. Only in this way can you become stronger. Especially Uchiha Sasuke can't help but think back now. Lord Gongyi, even the man he used to be, he needs to admire. If Lord Gongyi is really willing to accept himself, then he can definitely be easily killed in the future. Uchiha Sasuke's dark eyes slowly burst into light at this moment. He seemed to see a road leading to a shortcut, and the whole person was vaguely excited. Uchiha completely forgot about his defeat to Hyuga Neji just now. You must find an opportunity to let Lord Gongyi accept me as a disciple. Chapter 342. Sasuke's request. Konoha village, on the street. Gongyi at the moment, he is walking towards the location of the Hokage building. Just now, Sarutobi Hiruzen sent Anbu to treat himself. Guess it was also because of the power of the four-tailed Jinchuriki column yesterday. Gongyi didn't even have to think about it. Anyway, there is nothing too big now. Gongyi did not refuse to meet Sarutobi Hiruzen. In the country of grass had already been cleaned up by him, so he wasn't afraid of anyone doubting him, so he didn't have any obstacles to his next plan. As for Kimimaro, he is loyal to himself, so he will not talk too much. Inside Hokage's office. Gongyi was sitting in front of Sarutobi Hiruzen at the moment. He looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen lightly. Come here, what's the matter? Did you leave at the palace leader yesterday? Sarutobi Hiruzen was smoking his pouch. His face was not very good. Have I left the leader of the palace? Do I still have to report with Konoha now? Gongyi smiled, and now 29 feet's overall aura has changed a bit, obviously not happy with Sarutobi Hiruzen's questioning. Gongyi, don't get me wrong. Seeing that Gongyi's face became a bit indifferent, Sarutobi Hiruzen also continued. Now there is news from Anbu. News came. That's right. Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded and said slowly, Jinchuriki column force, the four-tailed man in Iwagakure village, has been confirmed to be killed in the country of grass, where Anbu found a heavily destroyed battlefield. The enemy he faced it should be very strong, and it is judged that the four tails may have disappeared. Speaking of this, Sarutobi Hiruzen seemed to look at Gongyi intentionally or unintentionally. Do you think that there are several ninjas who can defeat Jinchuriki column in the entire ninja continent now? Beat people Jinchuriki column force. That might be a lot. Gongyi shrugged. Without showing the slightest look on his face, he smiled calmly. Hearing Sarutobi Hiruzen say this, Gongyi already knew. It seems that he is starting to doubt himself. Of course, Gongyi won't admit these things until he has collected all the tailed beasts. Provoke all the martial law people in all the ninja villages, Jinchuriki column force, and attract the attention of Akatsuki. In the end, it is very likely that you will be very troublesome here. This way, Gongyi naturally did not choose to admit these things at this time without any so-called direct. Here. When Sarutobi Hiruzen heard Gongyi finish speaking, he was also silent for a while. In the end, he knocked on the cigarette bag and put it on the table, and his expression didn't change. As if what Gongyi said now, Sarutobi Hiruzen may have already thought of it. Okay, if there's nothing special, I'll leave first. Seeing that Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't speak, Gongyi didn't want to waste any more time, but stood up and smiled lightly. For such an important matter, you should ask Anbu to check it out. The words fell. Gongyi didn't wait for Sarutobi Hiruzen to answer, he went. Talking too much is useless. Sarutobi Hiruzen has never let down his guard against himself since he has emerged to the present. It seems that the whole Konoha village should be reformed. Inwardly thinking. In Sarutobi Hiruzen's current situation, Gongyi is very uncomfortable. It continues like this. Gongyi also does not recommend that Sarutobi Hiruzen retire early. At the same time, Gongyi here thought of this. He also walked out of the Hokage building. Gong, Lord Gongyi. At this time, a young voice appeared behind him and stopped him. Turning back to the voice, Gongyi saw a young man standing behind him. His skin was pale and his hair and bangs were extended to the tail and gradually turned into broken hair, looking very handsome. A dark blue short-sleeved shirt with a high collar, coupled with his overall feeling, is very pleasing. Sasuke. Seeing the boy who suddenly stopped him, Gongyi smiled inwardly. Didn't expect that I hadn't looked for him yet, but now he took the initiative to look for him. Master Gongyi, you know me. There were some Sasuke who didn't know how to speak just now, and he was a little surprised to see that Gongyi knew him. Originally, he had already thought about it a long time ago. As long as he had the opportunity to meet this adult, he would definitely find a way to make him accept him as his disciple. That Sasuke is actually a little scared when he sees Gongyi. Although Gongyi didn't show his power now, the aura of his whole person already made people feel a kind of shock. Sasuke can clearly feel that Gongyi's power is definitely not based on the mouths of the villagers. Especially now that he can clearly understand why that man made Gongyi his lifelong pursuit. Because he is really strong. I used to perform a mission with Chinfeng at the beginning. Gongyi turned around, quietly looked at Sasuke with dark eyes, and said quietly, I have heard about the younger generation of the Uchiha clan, of course. Well, that's my father's. When Sasuke heard Gongyi finished speaking, he was still quite shocked. Sasuke has some impressions of Uchiha Chikas, and he once heard his father mention it. He even saw it a few times before. However, because he was still young at the time, Sasuke also had a vague impression. But through these, the thoughtful Sasuke can guess that it seems that the Lord Gongyi in front of him may have some origins with his own Uchiha clan. As soon as he thought of this, Uchiha Sasuke's confidence increased, and he looked up at Gongyi with anticipation. Then Gongyi, can you accept me as a disciple? Why do you want to be my apprentice? Gongyi looked at Uchiha Sasuke with a half smile, as if he could already guess Sasuke's intentions. For a child, in fact, Gongyi knows exactly what he is thinking. I want to gain great power. Hearing Gongyi asking him, Sasuke's face showed a hint of hatred, and his fists were clenched. Only when you are strong can you defeat that man. Want to gain great power. Seeing Uchiha Sasuke's hatred look, Gongyi shook his head. At the beginning of the disaster of the genocide, Uchiha Sadachi hit him really hard. The current Uchiha Sasuke, it seems that his mind is full of wanting revenge and killing Itachi. Good reason. Gongyi came back to his senses and looked at Uchiha Sasuke again. He reached out and touched Sasuke's head, but if you want to be my apprentice, then I need to see what your perseverance is. Master Gongyi, did you promise me? Uchiha Sasuke's eyes lit up when he heard Gongyi say here. No. Gongyi looked at Uchiha Sasuke quietly, and he continued to speak. For the ununderlined version of the novel, Block Collection IP. Chapter 343. Omura, where everyone is in danger. Now if you want me to be your apprentice, then you need to take some action to show me if it's worth it. Gongyi raised the corners of his mouth and looked at Sasuke Uchiha, who was puzzled. When one day, you are good enough, I will grant your request. Yes. Sasuke heard Gongyi's first sentence. He was already a little down. He felt that this was Gongyi's disguised rejection of his request. However, when the second sentence came out of Gongyi's mouth, Sasuke's pair of big eyes suddenly reappeared. Yes. Lord Gongyi, I will definitely let you see it, and I will be qualified to let you grant my request. He still doesn't understand that now, as long as he shows his due value, then Gongyi may accept him. He is not afraid of these. He is afraid that Gongyi will reject him completely. After all, he knew now that he still had hope. As long as he can show his talent, he will have the opportunity to be nurtured by Lord Gongyi like Hyuga Neji and Kimimaro. Thinking of this, Sasuke took a step back, bowed, and immediately turned back and left. Obviously, now that he can hear Gongyi's promise, he is very pleasantly surprised. You still have a long way to go, but accepting you so easily now is indeed not conducive to your growth. Looking at Sasuke's back, Gongyi murmured lightly. He promised Uchiha Itachi was right, and he also wanted to accept Sasuke as his disciple. But now is not the time. He still needs to be tempered now. When the real time is ripe, Gongyi will naturally choose to accept him. Meanwhile, inside the Hokage building. Just when Gongyi left here, another person was welcomed into Sarutobi Hiruzen's office. His face was extremely gloomy, and he was still leaning on a cane in his hand. Half of his cheeks were also wrapped in white bandages, and only a pair of eyes that were exposed outside could be seen. 3 generations, it seems that your inquiry has no effect at all. ! Quote. Danzo stood there looking at Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was sitting in front, and said dissatisfiedly. Jinchuriki Column Force, a 4-tailed man who defected to the land of grass, Old Purple of Iwagakure village. Danzo naturally knew about the fact that he was killed now. The disappearance of the 4 tails, as well as the traces of the battlefield, made everyone feel uneasy. Naturally, they didn't know that the 4 tails had been killed by Gongyi. Everyone, all the big villages in the entire ninja world are in danger. They are afraid that someone will take the 4 tails away, preparing to launch the next attack on the ninja village. The previous villages of Konoha and Kurigakure, which are a living example, are still vivid in their minds. At the beginning of the Kyubi 9 Tails riot, Konoha village, even the 4 generations of Hokage died in vain. The 6 Tails of Kurigakure village, if Gongyi did not take action to suppress them, I am afraid that this time they will definitely be in a state of failure. Thinking of the consequences, everyone panicked. They were afraid, and now the village of Konoha is equally afraid. The reason why Sarutobi Hiruzen found Gongyi, he confirmed the matter of the 4 tails. However, Gongyi ignored him at all, and Sarutobi Hiruzen was afraid to ask again. Now that Gongyi doesn't admit it, do you still want me to keep asking? Sarutobi Hiruzen sat there and sighed softly. Now that we are all old, if we blindly anger him, it will not be good for the future of Konoha village. Indeed. Now with the passage of time, although Sarutobi Hiruzen is still there, beware of Gongyi, but he also thinks clearly. If the current Gongyi wants to take control of Konoha village and become the 5th Hokage, he cannot stop him. He, whom the people wanted, had accumulated enough prestige in the whole village. Once he was angered, the strength of himself and others could not suppress him, and the rest were also completely passive. That's why, although Sarutobi Hiruzen doubted Gongyi, he didn't dare to show it. We are getting old. Danzo saw Sarutobi Hiruzen's resigned look. He clenched the crutches in his hand, and sneered, I think it's you who is really old, because you have already begun to fear him from the bottom of your heart. HMPH, then don't tell me there's nothing you can do now. Seeing Danzo's aggressive look, Sarutobi Hiruzen also looked at him with a displeased expression. Gongyi was here just now, he pressed himself to death. Now Danzo actually wants to question himself. Sarutobi Hiruzen has shown the spirit of 3 generations of Hokage, and said directly, I will not make mistakes in Konoha village, you don't have to worry anymore. You. Seeing Sarutobi Hiruzen's attitude, Danzo's whole body trembled with anger. Haven't you woken up to what happened with the Uchiha family back then? Looking at Danzo's very unwilling appearance, Sarutobi Hiruzen knew that he was more of a grudge against Gongyi for disrupting his plans. However, with such personal grudges, Sarutobi Hiruzen will never allow him to bring him to the top of the Konoha level. You really underestimate me. Danzo spoke in a deep voice and continued, even if there is nothing about the Uchiha family, I still have to say this. Then what do you want to do now? Sarutobi Hiruzen was silent for a while, then looked at Danzo and asked. Looking at him now, it seems as if he has a plan. Well, since that's the case, Sarutobi Hiruzen naturally wants to listen to what he wants to do with these things. Simply, we need to start monitoring him. Danzo said gloomily, and my roots have already started to investigate. I believe it will take a long time before there is news about the disappearance of the 4 tails. Monitoring is unnecessary. Sarutobi Hiruzen rejected the good Danzo's first thought. Now if we send people out to monitor, it will only deepen the contradiction. As for the matter of the 4 tails, since you are sure, go investigate. When Sarutobi Hiruzen saw Danzo insisting like this, he nodded helplessly. After all, if there is a way now, it is naturally impossible for him to really choose to indulge. However, Sarutobi Hiruzen did not really agree to monitor Gongyi in this way. Now the relationship with Gongyi, the two are actually in a very delicate state. Therefore, in such a state, Sarutobi Hiruzen does not want to really destroy the trust. Because once there is a certain gap, it is not something he can save. After all the sources of Sarutobi Hiruzen are centered on the prosperity of Konoha village. As for the current disappearance of the 4 tails, compared with Konoha village, Sarutobi Hiruzen has naturally made a choice. Chapter 344. Akatsuki Spy. Rain was pouring down. The dark clouds above the sky never dissipated, as if they had always existed here. The whole range of Amegakure village, it is in the dark rainy season all year round. And because of its location at the junction of the land of earth, the land of wind, and the land of fire, the perennial wars are even more constant. At this moment, it seems that the person who has returned home is crying quietly, dark and sad. After Orochimaru and Uchiha Itachi, the two completed their mission again. They are heading towards the location of Amegakure village, where pain is left behind. At this moment, Orochimaru was quietly walking behind. A pair of golden snake pupils stared at Uchiha Itachi walking in front. Looking at his back, Orochimaru seemed to be thinking about something. But in the next second, a smile slowly appeared on his face. His arm, Orochimaru pointed towards Uchiha Itachi. Yes. Immediately, Uchiha Itachi's complexion changed, and he saw that his body had been entangled by a thick python. His hands couldn't move, and the python opened its big mouth full of kiba and looked at him. Orochimaru. Uchiha Itachi's peripheral vision can see this stout python, it is drilled out of the sleeve of the big 320 snake pills. Instead, now his hand has become this python. What a precious Sharingan, its power is truly fascinating. Orochimaru raised the corners of his mouth, and the whole person showed a wicked smile. I am so lucky, now it seems that I am the only one who can have it. Hearing this, Uchiha Itachi didn't say a word, his whole face was as plain as water, without the slightest hint of emotion. I saw his pair of dark eyes slowly change at this moment. Yuhi the gorilla, the three tomo on it seemed to rotate slowly. King, Orochimaru's golden vertical pupils, bloodshots appeared immediately. His whole person showed a look of disbelief. Because in front of him, Uchiha Itachi, who was imprisoned just now, actually stood in front of him. And he is no longer able to move. I don't know when, he found that his whole body was actually nailed to the body by a huge golden nail that appeared inexplicably. It was completely nailed to the body. The environment is gone. In its place was a desolate landscape, with a vast black land underfoot, and the sky turned bloody. How come, this? Staring blankly at Uchiha Itachi, who was standing motionless in front of him, Orochimaru's expression gradually became more excited. This pupil technique. Is this the power of Sharingan? Orochimaru finished speaking, bit Kiba and slowly raised his hands forcibly. He wanted to go to the hand seal. PFF'd. A dark shadow belonging to Kunai flashed past, a scene of blood splattering. One of Orochimaru's arms was chopped to the ground without warning. Orochimaru, your ninjutsu, in front of these eyes, there is absolutely no use at all. Uchiha Itachi looked at Orochimaru with Yuhi's eyes, and said. As expected of the power I fancy, it is indeed scary. At this time, Orochimaru became sober in an instant as his arm had been cut off. Was still light rain all around, tick-tock. The sound of raindrops dripping from the leaves could also be heard clearly. Because of the pain, Orochimaru began to slowly recover from the demonic illusion. And Uchiha Itachi's demonic illusion bondage has also begun to slowly loosen, and has not continued. He doesn't want to kill Orochimaru now, and he doesn't have that mood. He knew that Gong Yi had some sort of deal with Orochimaru. Now how far the two have progressed, he has no way of knowing. However, because of the existence of Gong Yi's relationship, Uchiha Itachi didn't really kill him. After all, when the time comes, he doesn't want to have a bad relationship with Gong Yi because of the Orochimaru in front of him. Swish. Blink immediately. Back off. Orochimaru is not stupid, he is really interested in Uchiha Itachi's Sharingan. However, after the brief confrontation just now, he knew that the pair of eyes were far from restraining his ability. So he chose to leave. As for what happened with Akatsuki, Orochimaru didn't care at all. All he believes in is value. The current Akatsuki, obviously facing Orochimaru, has no value at all. In this case, plus Uchiha Itachi has an estrangement with himself, he will leave. As for Sharingan, Orochimaru has his own way. Because he suddenly thought that there was another person who might be able to help him. Thinking of this, Orochimaru has left the entire Omegakure village in an instant. Quote. Seeing that Orochimaru has gradually drifted away, the power of his chakra is gradually disappearing, Uchiha Itachi just stared coldly ahead. The drizzle falling on the dark clouds kept pouring on him, and after thinking about it for a long time, Uchiha Itachi turned and continued to walk in the direction of Omegakure village. Although Orochimaru can ignore Akatsuki's interests, he, Gong Yi's spy in Akatsuki. In this way, it is naturally impossible for him to leave Akatsuki, because he still wants to accomplish what he promised before for Gong Yi. Outside Konoha village, the leader of the palace. Drink. Ha. Bang, bang, bang. A muffled sound came from the courtyard. In the large courtyard, there are two people who are constantly using each other's taijutsu to fight each other. It's Kimimaro and Hyuga Neji. The two of them were all turned into white shadows, fast, dodging constantly, and colliding again and again. Although neither of them used ninjutsu or kekkei genkei, the battle was very intense. All started to fight hard. At the side of the two of them now, Gong Yi is sitting quietly looking at them both. All right. At this time, seeing that the two were still in a stalemate, Gong Yi said lightly. I have been busy with research for a while, and now I have not paid attention to the cultivation of the two of them. Now Gong Yi is quite satisfied after seeing the fight between the two. Hyuga Neji has followed her since she was a child, and the learning she has received is also carefully designed by herself. Now, with the passage of time, the strength is not weak. As for Kimimaro, not to mention, he used to be the signature fighter of the Kagaya family. Now that I have my own teachings, and my previous training in the four-tailed Jinchuriki column force, the progress is even greater. Overall, by looking at it this way, they did not have time when they were away, thus relaxing the practice. Everyone's strength, unconsciously, also has a good improvement. At least for now, Gong Yi is very satisfied. Chapter 345. Anbu Plan. Mr. Gong Yi. Since the last time I came back, I've felt a lot of inadequacy. When Kimimaro heard Gong Yi call to stop, he came over and said with a serious face, I have reflected a lot these days. Apparently, after his last lesson at the four-tailed Jinchuriki column force, he felt that he suddenly learned a lot. It's impossible to say that you were not complacent before. After all, in the entire ninja school, he has no rivals at all. And I have been here with Gong Yi again, studying for so long. Kimimaro completely felt that very few can beat him. However, after the last time, Gong Yi brought himself to face the four-tailed Jinchuriki column Li Laozi, he never thought about it like this again. Having seen his teacher, he can easily subdue the six tails. Kimimaro didn't know its horror firsthand. Different now, and Kimimaro can still remember how terrifying the original four tails were. As soon as he thought about it, he knew in his heart that if teacher Gong Yi wasn't here, even if he had the same strength as Tenten, he would definitely be dead. Kimimaro's impetuous heart was completely suppressed by Gong Yi's experience this time. That's right, now you can also start to slowly work towards opening the sixth door. Hearing this, Gong Yi nodded and said to him. Simply by just looking at it, in fact, if Kimimaro joins the ordinary ninja team, it will not help him very much. With Shikatsumyaku Dead Bone Pulse Kekkei Genkei, and his the 8 inner gates and taijutsu abilities, he is actually quite powerful. If it takes time, if he can continue to work hard to open the sixth door, then he doesn't need to worry about anything at all. He will also become the most tyrannical force in his hands. Looks like, if there is a chance, Kimimaro should try to enter Anbu. Gong Yi thought to himself. Anbu, Assassination Tactical Special Forces, which is similar to the Special Army, is filled with the best ninjas in the whole village. Although the tasks they perform are all very dangerous, they are very tempering. Especially, for training in all aspects, it's completely unmatched by normal ninja squads. Such as Uchiha Shisui, Hitaki Kakashi, and Uchiha Itachi et al. Not all of them are in Anbu, and they have grown to a great extent. Thinking of these, Gong Yi has made up his mind. If possible, it seems that Kimimaro should really join Anbu. Of course, in such a tense limelight now, Gong Yi doesn't plan that way. Over the Four Tails has not ended for a long time, and it still needs to wait for a while. It seems that the Four Tails disappeared. The incident has caused many people to be linked to the incident of the six-tailed runaway in the village of Kurigakure. Perhaps the rest of the tailed beast capture plan should be ahead. Gong Yi slowly smelled a strange breath, and everyone in Danin village was already a little worried. Teacher Gong Yi, take me to practice next time too. Here, after Kimimaro finished speaking, Hyuga Neji, who came over, said with anticipation. His face is innocent, and the whole person is facing Gong Yi. Like a child, people can't imagine that this genius has such a side. In front of Gong Yi, Hyuga Neji and in the ninja school are completely two states. Obviously, from childhood to adulthood, Hyuga Neji's dependence on Gong Yi has reached a very, very high level. Hearing Hyuga Neji speak, Gong Yi came back to his senses in his thoughts and looked at him. It's okay to practice, but we'll talk about it after you graduate and become a genin. Looking at Hyuga Neji, Gong Yi is the most satisfied. This child who has seen big since childhood, he has given him the most rigorous training. If combined with Byakugan's ability, it's actually very good. Of course, that wasn't enough for Gong Yi. At the same time, the back hill of Konoha village. Here is a quiet jungle. At this time, a man came here quietly. He is not very old, with white hair tied at the back and round glasses on his face, which makes people look at him very weak and completely weak, as if he will let a random ninja at any time. It can be solved. At this moment, when he came here, his whole face showed a look of respect, and he said lightly to the air in front of him, "Sir Orochimaru." Kabuto. As his voice just fell, Orochimaru slowly came out behind a thick tree. Looking at the young man in front of him, he looked at him with a gloomy smile. "How is the investigation of the Uchiha family's previous extermination?" "I have already investigated all of the things you explained before, Orochimaru-sama." Kabuto nodded, pushed the round glasses on his face, and said lightly. "Long ago, after Orochimaru left at Uchiha Itachi, he came to Konoha village." Kabuto is Orochimaru's eyeliner in this Konoha. Now almost everything inside Konoha village is passed on to Orochimaru by Kabuto here. Wait, Orochimaru spoke again, and Kabuto continued. "I haven't been able to investigate the specific core issues within the Uchiha clan, but I have heard a bit of news that when the roots of Lord Gong Yi and Danzo were both once it has appeared, but the specific authenticity, I am not sure." "What about Gong Yi and Danzo?" When Orochimaru heard Kabuto finish speaking, he slowly walked up to him. A pair of golden snake eyes are now staring in the direction of Konoha village. Now with the progress of the research, Orochimaru has become very hungry for the power of Sharingan. However, if he still has a chance before, he can easily get Sharingan. But now it's different. The entire Uchiha clan has been killed. The last two survivors, one is Uchiha Itachi and the other is Uchiha Sasuke. Now with Uchiha Itachi, it is absolutely impossible for him to have a chance. As for Uchiha Sasuke, he is still too young, and it is not easy to open his eyes, and Orochimaru can no longer wait. There's only one way now, and that is through the genocide that day, and Orochimaru wants to find a chance in it. Soon, through the few words of Kabuto, Orochimaru's whole person gradually understood. Maybe there is only one person who can help me. Danzo, Orochimaru certainly can't be in contact with. And what he can cooperate with is what Orochimaru can ask for. And only Gong Yi has entered. Chapter 346. Meeting Yakushi Kabuto. It seems that I still need to find him. After thinking for a long time, Orochimaru whispered quietly to himself. It seems that the only way to get Sharingan is to find the man. As if making up his mind, Orochimaru looked immediately. Hand seal with both hands and press down. Psychic art. Bang. At this time, a small snake spitting out a snake letter appeared in front of Orochimaru's eyes after the smoke dissipated. The two had left contact information before, and they communicated with each other through this psychic snake. Now that Orochimaru wants to find Gong Yi, he naturally needs to rely on it. The leader of the palace. Gong Yi, who was about to enter the house at this moment, suddenly saw a small black snake in front of him. "Oh, Orochimaru." When it appeared, Gong Yi was immediately recognized it. "This is once myself in the village of Kurigakure, which will be 3220. The contact information for Orochimaru when Kimimaro brought it back. It easy to contact him when I needed something for my own research in the future. But now that I see this, It seems that Orochimaru has something to look for first. Haha, but that's fine. Seeing the psychic snake disappear with a bang, Gongyi smiled lightly. Save yourself to find him, there is just one thing that needs to use Orochimaru. Gongling, I'll go out now. Kimimaro and Neji, I'll leave it to you. Looking at Gongling standing beside him, Gongyi said. Yes, I know the master. Gongling nodded obediently and answered Gongyi immediately. Hearing this, Gongyi didn't speak again, and the whole person immediately disappeared here. Over Konoha village, the light blue sky is like a pure velvet. The wind was blowing quietly, and the sky was cloudless. With the sunny weather, it makes people feel very comfortable. The back mountain of Konoha village, this is a hidden location, only a few rays of sunlight can shine in at this moment. It seems that the surroundings are a little shady. Orochimaru. An indifferent voice appeared, making Orochimaru and Kabuto standing here waiting for Gongyi's arrival immediately. Be vigilant. Because this silent living person appeared, obviously they didn't notice at all. The nervous Orochimaru turned his head and looked at the whole person. Then he said relaxedly, I can't think of Gongyi, you are still like this, people can't feel it at all. Come here, what's the matter? Gongyi didn't chat with Orochimaru, but looked, and Kabuto next to him. This frail boy with white hair, he couldn't even recognize him. He was trained as a ninja by Konoha village, and collected information from ninja villages in other countries such as clouds, fog, sand, and rocks. But later, because of Danzo's reasons, Kabuto killed his beloved in the execution. Thus, after a series of trivial matters, he accidentally met Orochimaru, and was finally brainwashed to allegiance. Simple calculation, and now it is estimated that Orochimaru's sound hidden village. It should have been established. And now Kabuto should have joined his village. Of course, the reason why he came back now is probably to gather intelligence. After all, it was not easy for Orochimaru to fabricate a fake identity for him and let him return to Konoha. But this guy has to say that he is indeed talented and intelligent, otherwise he would not have developed to that level in the later stage. Even if Gongyi remembers correctly, after Orochimaru joined Akatsuki, he made Kabuto pretend to follow Sasori of the Red Sand, and Sasori of the Red Sand completely thought that he had controlled him with demonic illusion, and he was sent by himself. Infiltrate the spy beside Orochimaru. But unfortunately, it is estimated that Sasori of the Red Sand did not think of it at all, but was slapped by Kabuto, because Orochimaru had already discovered demonic illusion and dismissed it. Instead, Kabuto learned about his own information, and then telling Orochimaru here, it's just a living negative teaching material. This Kabuto, life should be quite bumpy. It should be said that he is the guy who runs through the entire Hokage, and even in the later stage, he is a guy who drives half of the ninja world crazy. At the same time, here, while Gongyi was quietly examining Kabuto, Orochimaru looked at him from the corner of his eye and said lightly, go back first, Kabuto. Yes, Orochimaru-sama. Nodding, after Kabuto glanced at Gongyi, the whole person immediately flash disappeared. He is pounding in his heart now, and he feels very jealous of Gongyi. This is the first time he has really met Gongyi. Opposite, his pressure is enormous. This is the man who is rumored to be so powerful that the entire ninja world is afraid. When Kabuto appeared again on a thick branch, he looked at Gongyi's position from a distance. Pushing the eyes on his face, Kabuto was already horrified. Clearly felt that the breath on his body didn't show at all, but it made people feel very terrified. Seems like a lava volcano about to erupt. As long as he wants, everything can be destroyed in an instant. The complexion appeared on his face, and Kabuto didn't dare to think about his thoughts anymore. At least the person that Orochimaru is very afraid of is not something he can figure out. Suppressing his thoughts, the whole person dodged again and left the depths of this jungle. I invited Gongyi to come here today, naturally because I want to make a deal with you. Feeling Kabuto's chakra fluctuations disappear, Orochimaru looked at Gongyi in front of him and said, "Deal." Hearing Orochimaru finish, Gongyi continued to ask, "What deal?" "Sharingan." Orochimaru is straight to the point. He knows that Gongyi doesn't like nonsense, so he doesn't hesitate at all. "I need a pair of Sharingan now and want to do research." Sharingan. Seeing that Orochimaru needed it, Gongyi wasn't actually surprised. Seeing Orochimaru's outfit now, it's changed back to what it was before, and Akatsuki's big black robe embroidered with Yuhi-colored auspicious clouds is gone. Gongyi knew that he must have seen the power of Uchiha Itachi Mangekyo Sharingan 6, but failed in the eye-catching sight of Uchiha Itachi and left Akatsuki. And today, I should have learned about what happened to me in the Uchiha clan, so it's easy to try my luck. As soon as I guess, Gongyi. It's almost like taking the old bottom of Orochimaru. Now he can be sure that Orochimaru has become madly infatuated with the power of Sharingan. But he actually guessed right. In addition to a Mangekyo Sharingan from Uchiha Shisui, there are also several pairs of 3 Tomo Sharingan. On the night of the Uchiha clan's annihilation, I took a few pairs by myself. The purpose, of course, is to fear that my own research will be useful in the future. Now it seems that my original idea is also very correct. Thinking of this, Gongyi looked at Orochimaru. Chapter 347. Research on Impure World Reincarnation. Sharingan, I do have the last couple. Gongyi looked at Orochimaru, and without waiting for him to speak, he continued, "But for this transaction, I need one of your research results." "Well, what research results are you talking about?" When Orochimaru saw that Gongyi really had Sharingan in his hands, he was quite surprised and asked excitedly. "Impure World Reincarnation. All your research and speculation about Impure World Reincarnation, I need it all." Gongyi didn't hide either, and put his conditions immediately. Said it. That's right. Now Gongyi originally wanted to go to Orochimaru because of his recent research, which is also about Impure World Reincarnation. Because Gongyi wants to learn about the characteristics of Impure World Reincarnation, and prepare for the Fourth Ninja World War in advance. That's why he needs the information from the Impure World Reincarnation in Orochimaru's hands. Now Orochimaru, if Gongyi guessed correctly, he should have entered the state of research at 29. And the effect achieved is not low. After all, the plot has begun slowly. And he was in Akatsuki before, because Pain 6 paths they were made of corpses. Addition, Nagato also wanted to revive people at the beginning, so Orochimaru was inspired by a certain way, so he began to study Impure World Reincarnation and improved it. Even Gongyi estimated that Orochimaru should have excavated the bodies of the first-generation Senju Hashirama and the second-generation Senju Tobirama. Through the current research inside and out, the information in Orochimaru's hands is more valuable than his own pair of Sharingan. That kind of thing. Gongyi doesn't need it, and since he has more than a pair in his hands, it won't hurt to give it to Orochimaru. Impure World Reincarnation. Hearing Gongyi finish speaking, Orochimaru showed a rare surprise on his face. "You actually know about Impure World Reincarnation's research." He had no idea that Gongyi could now know that he was actually conducting research on Impure World Reincarnation. Especially when Orochimaru saw Gongyi's smile, it was as if his whole body was seen through, and there was no secret at all. "I have never told anyone about this matter, but Gongyi can already know these things about himself. His heart is vaguely more fearful. Now there is nothing more terrifying than someone who sees through himself like this." Orochimaru once thought he could see through Gongyi, but as time went on, he realized that it was actually himself who had been seen through. "How? What do you think about this deal?" Gongyi didn't answer him, but immediately asked Orochimaru. There was half silence. Orochimaru seemed to have made a decision and nodded, "No problem. Since you need this, then of course I won't hide it," said, without waiting for Gongyi to open again. Orochimaru opened his mouth directly, and a wet scroll slowly appeared. Reached out his hand and took it out, and Orochimaru threw it to him. Bang! Gong Yi didn't hold it directly, but immediately. Take out the space scroll of Yi, and seal it inside. Gong Yi is also a bit chilly for such a strange flower as Orochimaru. Hehe, here are all the results of my research on impure world reincarnation, as well as my subsequent conjectures. Orochimaru didn't mind Gong Yi's actions, but smiled at him and said, "What you want, I'll give you." Gong Yi also did not check the authenticity of the scroll, but directly took out a vessel and threw it to Orochimaru as well. In the transparent liquid inside, a pair of eyeballs are quietly soaking, obviously the Sharingan he needs. Working with you, Gong Yi, is really a pleasure. Orochimaru didn't care whether it was true or not, and just stuffed it into his mouth again. The two knew very well that they would never deceive each other. After all, if they want to carry out long-term cooperation, neither of them will pay attention to such short-term benefits. Orochimaru is naturally a smart person, and it is impossible for him to be stupid enough to deceive Gong Yi. Especially now, he actually felt deeply jealous of Gong Yi. Because he doesn't know when he may die at the hands of Gong Yi. Here, Gong Yi saw that he had got the things, so he didn't go to talk nonsense anymore. He nodded and left here. A long time. Orochimaru looked at the place where Gong Yi left, and after staring at it for a while, he didn't stay for a long time, and also disappeared without a trace. The leader of the palace. After coming back, Gong Yi came to his secret room. Out the scroll that Orochimaru had just given him, Gong Yi slowly opened it. Inside these records are all related to impure world reincarnation's data and research, as well as various conjectures. Now it seems that he has not deceived himself. Basically Gong Yi can see that it is very complete. Watch quietly. Soon, when Gong Yi finished all of these, after reading it, he put the scroll back together. Basically, Gong Yi has a general understanding of the research results of Orochimaru's impure world reincarnation. However, Gong Yi was not particularly satisfied with his research results. Now Orochimaru's impure world reincarnation, the forbidden technique he has studied, is not very perfect. Who came out of the psychic did not even reach 50% of what they were before they were alive. Impure world reincarnation, in fact, is essentially a psychic 320. It can summon the long-dead ninja soul back to the world and resurrect it in the form of an entity. However, the premise of resurrection is to sacrifice Matsuri, and then enter the corpse with the soul. Put it bluntly, it is to sacrifice Matsuri's life, using the corpse as an introduction. The spirit of the original master of the psychic descends. Although it is cruel and unacceptable, the benefits it brings are endless. Those who are resurrected by impure world reincarnation will be controlled by the caster. Of course, if the caster knows the seal of impure world reincarnation, it can also voluntarily cancel it. The impure world reincarnation contract, so it is also a double-edged sword. The reason why Gong Yi has been interested in it recently is for later consideration. This impure world reincarnation's forbidden technique was developed by the second-generation Hokage Senju Tobarama, and later improved by Orochimaru, and the use of Kabuto, which was known to everyone Akatsuki. However, Gong Yi can't wait for the last moment to finally perfect it, and Gong Yi naturally has the next plan. Gong Yi has actually studied the ninjutsu of impure world reincarnation long ago. Now, by integrating Orochimaru's research results, he has basically gained a lot of understanding. And now Gong Yi, through Orochimaru's scroll, has learned a lot of things that he didn't think of before. Chapter 348. Onoki's Stubbornness. Based on these scrolls, and the recent impure world reincarnation research, Gong Yi already knew Akatsuki's basic principles of the entire forbidden technique. He made a brief summary. If you want to use it perfectly, the most important thing is to need the corpse of the deceased, otherwise the conditions for this reincarnation cannot be met. As for the future, the container cannot use ordinary existences as Matsuri products, which will also affect the soul combat power of the entire impure world reincarnation. Now Gongyi has gained a lot of enlightenment from what he discovered on his own side, combined with Orochimaru and the impure world reincarnation that Kabuto cast later. As for the reincarnated soul, it should be other than the pure land of bliss, or if it has been sealed, then there is no way to recall it. And if Gongyi is also thinking, the reincarnated person will be liberated because of emotional stimulation, commonly known as completely out of control, which is also one aspect. After all, the Fourth World War, Kabuto is completely because of this drawback and was severely pitted. So if you want to control it perfectly, you need to erase its personality, have no self-awareness, and become a pure hand, killing weapon. After all, being able to actually complete a very perfect impure world reincarnation would be terrifying. Must know that in addition to having the combat power of the deceased before they were alive, they cannot be killed by ordinary methods, which means that the deceased by impure world reincarnation will gain immortality. Aside from the effective seal, or the caster's personal release, they are almost in a state of no solution. Well, that's because impure world reincarnation has such a magical effect, which is why Gongyi is now interested in it. It is still not perfect. Gongyi has a way to gradually improve it. Iwagakure Village. Central building, in the office. Ninja wearing the uniform of Iwagakure Village Anbu, he is standing here quietly. The whole person's face was a little complicated. He looked at the person sitting in front of him, and reported, Master Tsuchikage, now the four-tailed Jinchuriki column Li Laozi has been completely confirmed dead, but the trace of the four-tailed has been delayed for a long time. Found out, I think it's quite possible. Already dead as well. Also dead. In front of the man is Onoki, the third-generation Tsuchikage of Iwagakure Village. He is the direct disciple of the first generation of Tsuchikage and the second generation of Tsuchikage. He is quite powerful as a whole and enjoys the Onoki of the 2-day scale. Name. Not only that, he is also the master of Doden, Earth-style, ninjutsu in Iwagakure Village, and can use the unique nature transformation, Jinten, particle style. Is beyond, Kekkei Genkei. The blood follow out. The damage is horrific. And in the 5 major countries, he is one of the non-flying ninjas. Today, the heyday of Iwagakure Village was created by him, surpassing the achievements of the first-generation Tsuchikage and the second-generation Tsuchikage. Now, it is such a legendary rock Tsuchikage. He is sitting here quietly with a gloomy face, and a big nose in the middle of his face makes him look more happy. However, due to his old age, his head and eyebrows have already been completely white, and he has not lost a sense of majesty. Especially now, the power of chakra is faintly exposed, revealing a sense of oppression from the inside out. Although the 4 tails are not the strongest among the 9-tailed beasts, it is absolutely impossible to die silently like this. When Onoki heard Iwagakure Anbu finished speaking, he frowned and said in disbelief. 4-tailed Sun Wukong, in their Iwagakure village, was sealed in the body of Jinchuriki column force for decades. Although Onoki has not personally experienced fighting it, Onoki also clearly knows that the power of the tailed beast is terrifying. Especially the current Old Purple, although he has already defected, he was chased by the ninjas in the village of Iwagakure and ran around in the land of ninjas. However, Onoki knew very well that ordinary people couldn't compete with him at all. In this way, first Lao Zizai and then 4 tails, wanting to obliterate the 2 of them silently is simply not something that ordinary people can do. But Lord Tsuchikage, now that so long has passed, if the 4 tails are taken away, there is no way we can't investigate. Hearing Onoki's rebuttal, Iwagakure's Anbu ninja, he didn't dare to show his displeasure at all, but explained to him instead. If we can't investigate all the time, it can only mean that the strength of the other party has exceeded our expectations. Onoki's expression did not change in the slightest, but he still said stubbornly, "You are now stepping up your manpower investigation." I don't believe that the ninja world of Nuoda will make the four tails really disappear. Understood, Tsuchikage-sama. Seeing the Onoki in front of him, still stubborn and unable to listen to anything at all, this Iwagakure Anbu ninja seems to be used to it. After he heard the order, he nodded, and the whole person immediately flash disappeared. Damn it, who the hell is it? Is it possible that even Iwagakure village has been targeted now? Seeing the ninja leave, Onoki bit Kiba, and the whole person looked a little annoyed. Lois. You're looking for me, father. As Onoki opened his mouth, a figure flashed in front of him. Is a very tall and strong man, somewhat similar in appearance to Onoki. Now there is a big problem with the Jinchuriki column force of the four-tailed man. Seeing the visitor, Onoki's frown slightly eased, and he said slowly, there must be no more problems with the five-tailed Jinchuriki column force, now let him stop taking the task and stay in Iwagakure directly. In the village. When Lois heard Onoki finish speaking, he nodded, understood father, I will be optimistic about the five-tailed Jinchuriki column force. Well. Onoki showed a relieved look and continued to speak. You must take strict precautions, we can't lose control of the five tails, if once the two-tailed beasts are all lost, our status in Iwagakure village will be lost. Into a very embarrassing situation. Yes, father, I'm going to start rearranging now. Lois didn't talk nonsense, the whole person showed a serious look. Obviously, they are also very nervous about the killing of the four-tailed man Jinchuriki column Li Laozi in Iwagakure village. And they lost a tailed beast for no reason, and their Iwagakure village actually suffered heavy losses. Now the entire Iwagakure has begun to unconsciously, all under martial law. No one knows what will happen next. Now even the powerful five-tailed Jinchuriki column force has begun to be strictly guarded by the ninjas of Iwagakure village. Onoki even sent his son Lois out, for fear that something might go wrong with the five-tailed Jinchuriki column force. Meanwhile, it's not just the village of Iwagakure here. Chapter 349. Meanwhile, it's not just the village of Iwagakure here. Kumogakure village is full of clouds and mist, surrounding the village of Nuoda. In Reikage's office at this moment, a ninja who had just been in charge of intelligence left shortly after. The fourth generation of Reikage, he sat there with a gloomy face. Bastard, what is going on in the entire ninja world now? The fourth generation of Reikage clenched his fists, and the whole person was a little angry. Since the last defeat, Killer Bee and Yao were beheaded by Gongyi, the entire Kumogakure village is not as strong as before, and now it has been in a low-key state. Not long ago, Iwagakure village four-tailed Jinchuriki column force, he also got the news. But just now, the ninja he sent out has already speculated that the four tails who left the Jinchuriki column force may have died. Hearing this, the four generations of Reikage's brows were furrowed, and his heart became more and more uneasy. On this day, the Nitique door in Kumogakure village was completely guarded and not allowed to leave the village. He is the last person in the village of Kumogakure, the only one left behind by Jinchuriki column force. In addition, Nitique door, she can completely liberate the tailed beast and easily control the two tails. 32 has been widely recognized and admired by the villagers. After Killer Bee's death, if Nitique door encounters an accident, the entire Kumogakure village will really go downhill in his own hands. The fourth generation of Reikage dare not gamble, he can only use his own way now to prevent things from happening in the future. Almost the same time. Because the matter of the four-tailed Jinchuriki column force has begun to spread slowly, all the big villages have begun to do so. No one can afford to lose any more. After all, Konoha village, Kurigakure village, and Iwagakure village have had such problems one after another, and they have begun to have to guard against them. The last few villages with tailed beasts have left all the human Jinchuriki column power in the villages. Them are stupid, no one wants to gamble in such a situation, because if they lose, it will be very bad. Konoha Ninja School. When the whole ninja world began to be in danger, it was still peaceful and quiet. Some students who are still practicing for graduation are working hard in their own small circles. At this moment, Uchiha Sasuke is sitting quietly somewhere on the playground. The whole person was extremely indifferent, and his face was obviously worried. After talking to Gongyi before, Sasuke Uchiha was constantly thinking about how to present himself. After all, Sasuke Uchiha knew that if he performed well enough, he would be successfully apprenticed by Gongyi. If you want to defeat that man, Uchiha Sasuke can only go with this path. He knew it well. At this moment, Uchiha Sasuke, he doesn't want to think about anything, except revenge, that is, how to make Gongyi agree to his request. As long as he gets advice, then the next thing. Needless to say, Uchiha Sasuke can imagine the picture of Uchiha Itachi being defeated in his own hands. Thinking of these things silently, he strengthened his thoughts even more. It seems that if you want to impress Lord Gongyi, then you can only defeat Hyuga Neji. Sasuke, whose head was about to break 5, stood up slowly and looked at Hyuga Neji who had just walked out. He knew that as a disciple of Gongyi, Hyuga Neji perfectly explained everything as long as he had a chance to beat him. The current Uchiha Sasuke has already started biting on Kiba and is ready to continue to practice hard. Only in this way can we fight against Hyuga Neji. After all, in the original duel test, Hyuga Neji easily defeated himself. As a member of the Uchiha family, Sasuke is still very proud, and he does not allow himself to fail again. And this time, there is still the most important thing, that is, we need to take advantage of the opportunity to defeat Hyuga Neji to make Gongyi accept him. In a blink of an eye, when Uchiha Sasuke, he was still thinking about these things here, the leader of the palace. Gongyi inside was frowning. I just got the news that the villages in the entire ninja continent seem to have started martial law Jinchuriki column force intentionally or unintentionally. Because of the four-tailed Jinchuriki column Li Laozi, everyone can't help but think of a lot. It seems that now those guys have become a bit timid. Walking out of the house, Gongyi quietly looked into the distance and whispered to himself. At this moment, his eyes were deep, as if he could see everything in front of him. Gongyi did not expect that this seemingly abundant time would actually cause these large villages to start martial law. If such a thing happened before, it is estimated that the rest of the Omura would not be like this at all, but would have laughed at Iwagakure village. Jinchuriki column force is the ultimate weapon of the 5 major ninja villages, and it is their shocking force to the outside world. If Iwagakure village loses one person's Jinchuriki column power now, it's too late for everyone to be happy. However, with the rampage of the 6 tails in the village of Kurigakure, many people can't help but think of conspiracy theories. This kind of inadvertent spread has spread throughout the entire ninja world, making everyone feel that someone is behind the scenes. This way, it affects Gongyi and easily hinders his current small 10 tails Jinchuriki column force plan. As the plot was about to start, Gongyi was not in a hurry, and even decided to use Uchiha Itachi's intelligence. When Akatsuki and the others capture the tailed beast, they can follow behind to get a bargain. However, looking at it now, it is clear that such a plan cannot continue to be implemented. Because Gongyi must get the chakra belonging to the tailed beast in all the big villages before he can completely see the Jinchuriki column force to death. Moreover, Gongyi also clearly understands that this matter needs to be handled carefully to prevent it from being exposed. Otherwise, if the whole ninja world finds out that he is collecting the chakra of the 9-tailed beast, the consequences will give Gongyi a headache. Need to speed up the investigation. After thinking for a while, Gongyi said lightly to himself. At this time, it's actually not a bad thing. Their ninja village began to be in chaos, and it was a good choice to complete the plan by themselves. And now that Akatsuki has begun to slowly become active, he can let them take the blame when the time comes. After all, Akatsuki's main target is also a tailed beast, so he can just give himself a way to operate. After making up his mind, Gong Yi's whole body immediately walk away. Immediately left here. By the time he appeared here, he had already arrived at the periphery of the palace. Wow wow wow. And at this time, when Gong Yi was about to walk away, he heard a crow's cry. Looking up, a black crow is flying towards him. Chapter 350 Free Fighter 3rd. Uchiha Itachi, there seems to be any news. Seeing the black crow flying, Gong Yi stood there and looked over. Uchiha Itachi in the country of grass, he had already sent a piece of information. There are almost all of Akatsuki's missions in recent times, and there are also a series of secrets. But Gong Yi already knew Akatsuki a little bit, he didn't care about it, it wasn't very useful. As long as Akatsuki doesn't come against him, Gong Yi doesn't have time to spoil their affairs. Wow wow wow. Reaching out, the crow landed directly on Gong Yi's arm. Next second. With a bang, its entire body exploded completely, turning into countless black feathers that scattered around. Immediately after, Gong Yi was the bright spot. Just now, in his mind, there were a lot of pictures generated by demonic illusion. Gong Yi ignored a lot, and only kept the most useful information in the end. Jinchuiki column force of the Naneo people. Hehe, I really can't think of it, I can't wait, there is news from the Divine Consciousness clone, Uchiha Itachi here. But it helped me. With a smile on his lips, Gong Yi muttered to himself. The information from Uchiha Itachi just now, Akatsuki should have been unable to sit still. They were still slowly carrying out the current plan, and they were preparing step by step, and then preparing to capture the tailed beast. However, due to his own reasons, I am afraid that Akatsuki is also in a hurry. QB 9 tails, 6 tails were suppressed by himself, 8 tails were beheaded by himself, and 4 tails disappeared suddenly and inexplicably. Now they can't sit still. It is estimated that Uchiha Itachi and Orochi did not talk much about the matter in the country of grass, and no one knew that they had been there. Result, the current Akatsuki and the others are afraid that the tailed beast will be removed by some people, or that some ninja Omura will start to unite with the Guardian Jinchuriki column force. This is actually a very troublesome thing for them. So now Akatsuki, they have dispatched the horns, all in the Hidan team, went to Takihidan village to capture the Naneo Jinchuriki column force. Almost the same as the familiar plot, the two of them were sent to capture the Nantai Jinchuriki column force, and Gong Yi was not surprised at all. On the contrary, in the current situation, Gong Yi feels good. They went to help themselves clear the field, and when the time comes, they can transfer the Jinchuriki column force of the Nantai people to Akatsuki. This way, the entire ninja world will completely extract the object of suspicion for themselves. This way, I can still carry out the small 10 tails Jinchuriki column force plan. Akatsuki is inadvertently hindered, buying himself time. A simple thought in Gong Yi's mind, for himself, this is simply a good thing that kills two birds with one stone. If the Naneo's affairs are settled first, it will be much easier to deal with the Wuwei's affairs in the future. A small Kumogakure village, Gong Yi has no fear. If you really push yourself to a certain extent, then you can break into Kumogakure village and kill the 5 tails directly. But Gong Yi is not worried, because Akatsuki is now more anxious than himself. Before the whole plan began, the tailed beast was already dead, and was strictly guarded by the seal. They want to start again, but it's not as easy as in the plot they were familiar with before. Then go get Naneo now and talk about it. Gong Yi suppressed his thoughts and stopped thinking. Now that I have obtained their information, I can just sit back and enjoy their achievements. With free thugs, I am very comfortable. Said, Gong Yi disappeared using the Hiraishin technique. Knew it, the entire area of Konoha village had been set up with Hiraishin's art. So within the confines of this half-fire country, Gong Yi can come and go freely. Taki Hidden Village. At this moment, there are a lot more ninjas than before. All of them had nervous expressions on their faces, and they were constantly patrolling here. The matter of Jinchuriki, column force of the four-tailed people of Iwagakure village has also made the people on their side attach great importance. Because of the geographical environment, their intelligence system may not be as fast as the ninja villages of other big countries. But they are here now, and they have heard the news long ago. Although their Takian village is not as famous as the 5 great ninja villages, their strength in various aspects are incomparable. Normally, they don't need to worry about these things. In the ninja village compared to other small countries, they still have a representative existence, and that is the human Jinchuriki column force. That's right, Takian village is now the only owner of Jinchuriki other than 5 countries. The village of column force. Shigeki, it was sealed on the body of Jinchuriki column force of Takian village. It is because their village has the power of Jinchuiki column, so now that the time has come, the senior management of Takian village is a little nervous. Takian village, a small conference room. At this moment, there are several people seated here, and they are not young anymore. On their heads also symbolize the symbol of Takian village. It looks like this is all we can do now. An old man sitting in the first place, he said with a serious face. Obviously, what he said just now has been considered for a long time. Chief, this approach is actually a good thing for Takian village. Nodding, another middle-aged man, he agreed. Yeah, although the Jinchuiki column force of the Nantai people is transferred, it does not mean that it is lost, so it can be regarded as a delaying strategy. Here, again, there is a high-level person from Takian village who said. Several people are now discussing, all about the Nantai Jinchuriki column power. Takian village, because they have been in a backward state for a long time, there are not many ninjas, and their overall strength of the village is not very strong. Compared with Konoha village, Kumogakure village, etc. Such 5 major ninja villages cannot be compared at all. In charge of their Takian village is only a leader. A name, not a shadow. Therefore, among the villages currently possessing the power of Jinchuriki column, their Takian village is the most vulnerable to attack. Without the background, there is no existence like Gongyi who can suppress the tailed beast to stay in the village. Then the Jinchuriki column force of the Nanao people is like a time bomb, threatening Takian village all the time. They are afraid of the Nantai riot, which will destroy the entire Takian village. Also afraid that someone who attacks the 4-tailed Jinchuriki column force will come to Takian village and take away the Nanao's Jinchuriki column power. So in such an environment where everyone is in danger, what they are sitting here is discussing. That is whether to transfer the power of the Nanao Jinchuriki column. Now after discussing for so long, the silent elder Takikakumura chief, he nodded and agreed. After all, the current Takian village has not been disturbed by the war, nor has it been affected by any bad things, just like a paradise. However, the matter of this person's Jinchuriki column force is not sloppy. Enter. Chapter 351. The Undead Duo. To have a fluke in the matter of this person's Jinchuriki column power. With the lessons of Konoha village and Kurigakure village, once the tailed beast riots, their Takian village will be completely unsolved. As for the fate of the 4-tailed Jinchuriki column force of Iwagakure village, it is definitely not something they can afford. In a word, now they Takian village are very precious, the Nantai Jinchuriki column force. She is now the symbol of Takigakushi as a whole. It is also the strongest weapon that can shock the ninja world, although Takian village and the others do not fight or rob it. But, for the matter of people's Jinchuiki column force, it is impossible for them to make any concessions at all. Otherwise, they might have handed over the human Jinchuriki column force to the remaining 555 great ninja villages for disposal. Since they haven't been there, this time, it's impossible for the Nantai Jinchuriki column to risk it. So they know how to kung fu, and they have already started to decide that the Nanwei people will be 3-2 and 2-0. Jinchuriki column force secretly moved to a safe location. Then it's not too late to arrange the transfer of the Jinchuiki column force of the Nantai people from now on. Seeing that none of the other senior officials of Takian village refused, the leader of Takigakura stopped talking nonsense, and immediately began to arrange it. Not long. When several senior officials of Takian village confirmed, they immediately. After leaving here, I began to execute according to the plan explained. On the surface of the entire Takian village, there seems to be nothing at all, and it is still just. There are a lot of Takian village ninjas to patrol. But in the dark, everyone has already begun to carefully carry out Neneo's transfer. However, when many of them started to rush, Takian village was an inconspicuous place. The walls of the house, which were supposed to be solid, have now begun to slowly fluctuate, like a swamp. Body was wrapped in large leaves, and he slowly revealed half of his body in it. A pair of yellow round pupils quietly looked at the ninjas of Takian village who were very busy in the distance. They have already started preparations to transfer the Nantai Jinchuiki column force. After all, now they smelled a hint of danger, and felt that it was not a good thing to leave it in Takian village. Of course, now that we are in a situation like this, no one pays attention to the actions of himself and others, and it has already been monitored. And it's still not bad at all. It's completely being seen, all in the eyes. Faint smile on his face, he stared at the Takian village ninja not far ahead for a while, and then he slowly left. The whole person disappeared in the next second, and some people passing by did not notice that there was a person here just now. Well, such a solid wall. No one can believe that someone can appear inside without any means of destruction at all. Night gradually fell, and the cold north wind kept blowing. The whole sky seemed to be covered with darkness, and the day was slowly fading. Outside Takian village, inside a cave at this moment. In black robes stood here quietly. The whole big robe is very wide, with a few yui-colored auspicious clouds embroidered on it. One of the men was handsome, gray, with lavender eyes and a necklace around his neck. The other one has a mask on his face, but there is only one, which will cover the part below the eyes, which is somewhat mysterious. The two of them were sent by Akatsuki on the mission to capture Neneo, the undead duo, Kaku, to Hidan. Ah, when can I go out? It's so boring to stay here. Hidan stood there and shrugged, and sat on a half-stone while complaining. I saw that he was a little bored now, and even took down the three-segment scythe on his back and held it in his hand. A seven-tailed Jinchuriki column force, kill her directly, and then offer Matsuri to the evil god. Well, it's still such a hassle. Zhao, do you think what I said is right? Don't be so silent all the time, okay? Hidan weighed the three scythes in his hands, and looked at the corner who had been silent beside him. Do. I saw the current corner. Do, as if you've gotten used to the person next to you. Talkative, she didn't show any expression at all, she just said lightly, aren't you the only one who is worried about the Jinchuriki column force, but it's been delayed. I went to the black market to get a mission. Kokaku, although he once belonged to the elite ninja of Takian village, but after so many years, he has long lost the slightest affection for him. He thinks more now, money. You're too embarrassed to say that if you didn't kill a ninja for the bonus, we might have ended the capture of the Nantai Jinchuriki column force long ago. Hearing Zhao, it's all said and done, Hidan looked at him complainingly, and put the three-stage scythe back on his back after he finished speaking. Hee, you said at the beginning that religion can make money, and then I agreed to talk to you about it. You made a team, but now I see that's not the case. Seeing the unhappy expression on Hidan's face, Zhao, both turned their heads to look at Hidan and said slowly. You mean to look down on the evil god Sama? Hidan saw Zhao. He actually dared to say such blasphemous words. The whole person was a little excited. Hey, hurry up and shut up, you will go to hell like this. Quote. Seeing Hidan's appearance, Zhao has slowly closed his eyes, and didn't even look at him, as if he had had enough of his Cthulhu theory. You two, I have good news for you. At this time, Zhao, Du, Hedan and Ju slowly appeared in front of them. The good news, is there any good news now? Hedan looked at Ju, who was showing his half-body on the ground of the cave, and he picked his ears. Now can we go out? I can't wait. Yes, you can go out. Seeing that the talker Hedan kept talking nonsense here, it seemed like a habit, and he continued to speak. And this time you don't need to go deep into Takian village, you can solve the Jinchuiki column force of Nanao people. What happened to Nantai Jinchuriki column force? Kokaku, hearing this, he opened his eyes and asked White Zetsu. Now Takian village seems to have been frightened, and is going to transfer the force of the Nanaojin Jinchuiki column. 1. There was absolutely nothing to hide, and he quickly answered to the corner, all. Then what do you mean? We can fight outside Takian village. That's right. Seeing Ju's meaning is obvious, Zhao, Du also showed a little disappointment in his eyes. I thought I could enter Takian village, so I could take more money and go. A mere seven-tailed Jinchuriki column power is really not enough. Dedicating Matsuri to the evil god Sama. Hedan didn't show any happy expression on his face, instead he rubbed his head a little to express his disappointment. Ju shrugged, he couldn't say much about the strange habits of the Akatsuki members, he could only explain. This way you can also complete the task quickly, now that they have begun to transfer the power of the Nantai Jinchuriki column, you can go. Chapter 352. Has it started now? Zhao, all nodded and looked out of the cave, then let's hurry up. They are already behind Takian village and are moving. He never said anything, and after informing the two of the specific location, he slowly sank into the ground. I don't have to stay here anymore. Seeing that Ju had left, Hedan stretched his waist and walked out first. And Zhao, they didn't speak, and followed silently. Country of Taki. It is located above the country of grass, below the country of frost, and on the left and right are the country of fire and the country of earth. Although it seems that there are some little-known little ninja villages, they are also connected with each other, and they are not separated from each other. Not only that, the country of Taki is also like all the 5 major countries. Their country also has ninja armed forces, that is the hidden village of Taki. Now Gong Yi, who has heard the news from Uchiha Itachi, has entered here. Speed is very fast, Gong Yi did not delay time. After all, Zhao, Du and Fit have already set off there. A few dodged 29 bodies, and according to the markings on the map, they were about to reach Takian village. In fact, although this village is also a ninja village, and there is the existence of Jinchuiki column force, but Gong Yi seldom has contact with them. And they seem to be very low-key. No matter what it is, no matter what war, Takian village has never participated in it at all, as if it is isolated from the world. Thinking of this, a high mountain gradually appeared in front of Gong Yi's eyes. The towering mountain, there is also a waterfall that flows straight down, forming a river here. This is the entrance to Takian village. Gong Yi can see that the huge waterfall in front of him is a natural barrier to prevent outsiders from invading. Now it flows down from the top of the mountain, as if falling from the sky, making people feel a kind of natural fear. Although it is in the middle of the 444 countries, it is no wonder that it has been so peaceful. Standing under the waterfall, Gong Yi whispered lightly, if he remembered correctly, Takian village was built behind it. And if you want to go in, you need to pass through this waterfall, and then you can enter it. Of this waterfall is not what most people imagine. It is just a cave formed naturally over a long period of time. In Gong Yi's impression, behind this waterfall, there is something special, and it is a scene that ordinary people can't think of at all. Here, Gong Yi, who had just regained his senses and was about to enter Takian village, suddenly stopped. The terrifying perception reached this moment, and he clearly sensed the back of Takian village, and there was a slight fluctuation. Although what he perceives is not particularly accurate because it is very far away, he has indeed been very sure just now. Could it be that the Nantai-Jinchuriki column force has already been taken away by him? Gong Yi murmured to himself. Such an idea quickly popped into his mind. After all, according to the current situation in Takian village, it is very difficult for them to even protect themselves. If you keep Jinchuiki column force in the village, there is a good chance that you will encounter some kind of attack. To be said that the idea of Takian village caused the disaster to be destroyed. Just Hidan and Kaku, too, these two undead ninjas, will make Takiakura very hard to swallow. Now that Gong Yi can perceive it, there is no war or fluctuation in Takian village. So he should be sure, Kaku, both and Hidan may have known that the Jinchuriki column force of the Nantai people has been transferred, so they have been chasing there. Thoughts came. Gong Yi dodged to the other side. That location is right behind Takian village. Boom, boom. There is a huge noise at this location at the moment. After a group of people had just left the location of Takian village, an accident happened here. In front of them, there were several corpses lying. Look closely, all of them are ninjas from Takian village. This time, the dozens of Takian village ninjas still alive, all of them have changed their faces. It was the two men standing in front of them who just created these incidents. Them had a weird smile and the other was expressionless, which made people feel chills in their hearts. Who are you? Seeing the two people who appeared inexplicably, she couldn't help but say that they had killed several ninjas, and she shouted loudly from a woman surrounded by ninjas from Takigakura village. I saw her short blue-green hair, dark skin, and a pair of orange pupils. Kaide, she is Jinchuiki column force from Shigeki Naneo. The ninjas in Takikakumura, who are now all around him, are the elites who escorted and transferred her this time. Pity that this has not yet exerted its strength, and it has already been killed by Hidan and Zhao, all of them. Damn, we transferred Feng, how could they know about this place? Biting Kiba, a Taki hidden village Jonin who was in charge of transferring the squad, he cursed. Damn it, could it be that the rumors about the four-tailed Jinchuriki column force? They did it. On the other side, Takian village Chunin, he said with some fear. Prepare to kill them. Just two people, never try to take away the power of Jinchuriki column. A swish, the Takiakura ninja on the side tensed up, took kunai in his hand and pointed at them. And the rest of the Takian village ninjas also immediately after hearing this, showing a state of preparation for a counterattack. Before, because of Kaku, Duo and Hidan's sneak attack, they lost several ninjas. But now it's a face-to-face situation, and they don't think the two guys in front of them are so terrifying. 320. Before the plot started, the entire Akatsuki was well hidden, such a small ninja village, and there was no specific information about them. Especially, Hidan and Horns. They are all like this, they don't show up for a long time, and it makes people completely ignorant of them. Although the corner, they were once the elite ninjas of Taki Hidden Village, but because time has passed for too long. Jiao, they have changed too much. The existence of this new generation is completely unaware of him. Of course, now Zhao, he did not show any sympathy for the younger generation in front of him. Hey, good, now it's finally time to start. Hidan saw the ninja in front of Takian village biting Kiba's teeth. He took the three-segment scythe behind him in his hand, and pointed at them with a smile. Core, all. Don't interfere, I use them for rituals. Although he's not a strong guy, it's okay to give Matsuri to Cthulhu-sama. Then they'll leave it to you. Corner, I didn't even look at the group of ninjas in Takian village, but kept targeting Jinchuriki column Lifeng. Beginning to the end, seeing the group of ant-like ninjas in front of them, Zhao also completely lost interest. And at this time, as the two sides are about to make a formal move, a white figure came down in an instant, appearing on a tall tree on the side. Chapter 353. Hidan's performance. Oh. Arriving on top of this towering tree, Gong Yi quietly looked in front of him. It seems that the force of Jinchuriki column has really been diverted, and those two guys have successfully stopped them. Into view, although there was a dense jungle, had completely blocked the line of sight. However, Gong Yi can still clearly feel that it is the chakra fluctuations of Hidan and Zhao Du. Opposite the two of them, is the chakra fluctuations of the Nantai Jinchuiki column force and dozens of Takian village ninjas. With Gong Yi's tyrannical perception, now they seem to have a panoramic view and complete control. But at this moment Gong Yi, although he can clearly monitor them, but Hidan and Kaku Du, as well as a group of ninja Jinchuriki, column force and others from Takian village, were completely unaware of it. They never imagined that they and others would be completely exposed to the surveillance of another person. Gong Yi's whole body has no power fluctuations at all now, and his chakra doesn't seem to be exposed at all. If on this towering tree, there is no such person at all. Damn, how dare you underestimate us? Here, a group of Takian village ninjas showed anger on their faces after hearing Hidan's words. He was alone, and he wanted to face them alone. And he also told his companions not to intervene in such a thing happening in front of their eyes, which was like underestimating them. Swish swish. Almost instantly, a few bad-tempered Takigakura village ninjas threw several shuriken in front of Hidan's eyes. Speed is very fast, but it has not reached the realm that people can't avoid. The current Hidan, in fact, had already seen through their actions, and did not avoid them, but still stood there. PFF'd. At this time, I saw that all the shuriken hit Hidan. Arrogant guy, that's all. When Takian village saw this, everyone showed a sarcastic smile, secretly excited. They thought that the enemy in front of them was very strong, and everyone was extremely nervous. But looking at it now, they think it's nothing. Hey, that's all there is to it. Quote. Bang dang, with a few crisp sounds. Hidan pulled out all the shuriken stabbed in his body one by one. Still on the ground. Although blood was flowing in front of his whole body, it didn't seem to have caused any harm to him at all. Hidan's face still had that hideous smile on his face, which made people feel that he didn't seem to have any pain at all. Quote. All the ninjas in Takian village were stunned. In front of them and swallowed after seeing Hidan's actions. Everyone took a step back involuntarily. Monster. This guy is a monster. He just stood here just now, let the shuriken be stabbed, and now he pulled it out by himself. But for a field like this, Zhao, they don't change their faces, they seem to have known about Hidan's methods for a long time. He is even standing under the tall tree next to him now, quietly watching Hidan's performance. Come on. Next second, no waiting, the ninja of Takian village spoke again, and Hidan rushed over with an evil smile. Dedicate all of you to Matsuri to the evil god Sama. Taking a big step, Hidan completely ignored these. The wound was bleeding with blood, and the whole person took a man-high 3-stage scythe and swung towards the group of Takian village ninjas. Whoosh! I saw that Hidan shook his hand, and the 3-section scythe of Yuhi color flew out. I saw that it was connected by a black rope, and Hidan directly grabbed the end of the rope, like a whip usually it is swept directly to the crowd. As Hidan suddenly threw the scythe, all the ninjas in Takian village didn't react at all. The leading group immediately. Frightened, he wanted to retreat and avoid Hidan's attack. Bloody March scythe. At this time, Hidan opened his eyes wide with a bloodthirsty smile, and did not give them any chance to retreat at all. Immediately, with a puff, blood splattered. 2 of them were directly cut off by the waist and died. Do not understand. Not enough, die. Hidan has now come to the ninja group in Takian village, and the 3-stage scythe he just threw has been re-held in his hand. The clanging sound kept appearing, and each Takian village ninja held a ninja to resist with difficulty. Sparks flew, although they had the advantage of numbers, but everyone was unable to suppress the strange man in front of him. Hee, undead ninja. Gong Yi, who was observing them in the dark, sensed Hidan's Hidan's current state and smiled coldly. He is not as terrifying as the people from Takian village. Now Gong Yi knows Hidan like the back of his hand. However, Gong Yi actually slowly felt a little interest in Hidan's body. Because of his ability, it is indeed enough to make people drop their jaws in shock. Of this immortal body only exists in everyone's imagination now. To say that the real person I met was only Hidan. Even if it is Zhao Du, he is just using the secret technique to resent the ground. The ability to achieve the so-called immortality. Far from being like Hidan, it's just a special ability that emerges from the original body. Feeling Hidan's power, Gong Yi smiled faintly. If you have a chance, you should really study Hidan's body. Well, there are bound to be unexpected discoveries. Clang kang kang. Here, the battle continues. When Gong Yi was still thinking about Hidan, a lot of Takian village ninjas had died in his hands. Everyone was ripped open by this huge 3-section sickle, and the appearance of death was extremely numb to the scalp. Even the Nantai Jinchuriki column force, who had never been able to take action, couldn't bear it at all. Because if it continues like this, perhaps all the ninjas in Takigakura village in front of him will die. Great opportunity. Here, while Hidan was attacking one of the Jonin, another Takian village ninja was waiting behind him. The ninja sword in his hand went straight to Hidan's heart. PFF'd, hee, go to hell. Seeing that he had succeeded, the face of the Takigakura ninja showed excitement. Course, before he could speak again, Hidan turned his head back and still had that hideous smile on his face. At this moment, a pair of eyeballs with some gorilla yuhi are watching him quietly, full of sarcasm. Are you tickling me with this strength? Hidan gave up the Jonin, and swung the entire scythe to kill the Takian village ninja immediately. Fei Lu reminds you, 3 things to read for collection. Push the latest chapter Baidu search 99 Playmate find 99 Novel Network and LT, otherwise the collection IP will be banned. Chapter 354. Is it a monster? Isn't he a monster? Why not kill him? What's going on? All the ninjas in Takigakushi were stunned. They just kept trying to find an opportunity through encirclement and suppression, and let people go behind Hidan and take the opportunity to solve him. The final result was a success, but no one would have imagined that such a situation would happen. Before a group of ninjas from Takian village had time to get excited, they saw that Hidan had nothing to do with beheading the ninja. Kill. And each of them has watched helplessly now. Hidan actually slowly pulled out the ninja sword that penetrated his heart. There was no pain on his face, but the ninja in Takian village had an illusion, as if he was excited. Even Jinchuiki column Lifeng, a Nantai man who had never made a move, was seeing the sight in front of her. After the scene, there was also a look of surprise on his face. This guy is an out-and-out monster. Such a sentence suddenly appeared in the heart of every Takigakushi ninja. Now each of them are holding the ninja tools in their hands tightly, looking at Hidan nervously. Only the remaining 7 or 8 ninjas, no one dared to take a step forward. Hidan is really too weird, so they have to start to be afraid. Damn, I don't believe I can't kill him. Biting Kiba, Captain Jonin, who was in charge of the escort Jinchuriki column force, was the first to break the silence. Come on together, he must be forcibly standing up. The words fell, he immediately swung forward and stabbed Hidan with the ninja in his hand. Taking advantage of half a second, he has already started a quick hand seal. Sweetened water style water burst technique. Bang bang bang. The next second, I saw Taki-hidden village's Captain Jonin pointed his finger at Hidan, followed by dozens of water cannons condensed by chakra bombarded him indiscriminately. It was like a rain of flowers, covering all the position where Hidan was standing in front of him, and there was nowhere to escape. Sweetened water style burst water bursting technique. Sweetened water style water prison technique. Seeing that some people have already started to use ninjutsu, the last few ninjas in Takian village here also quickly hand seal and release out of the sweetened, water-style ninjutsu. Not long after, there were several sweetened, water-style ninjutsu spread across the jungle land ahead. Without exception, all of them turned into wild beasts and devoured Hidan forcefully. Boom boom boom. The boom 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 continued to erupt, deafening, echoing in everyone's ears. For such a sudden ninjutsu attack, everyone no longer thinks that Hidan in front of him may still be alive. Course. No wait. Someone went to speak again, and a black figure had already rushed out of the smoke and dust stirred up under the water. The three-section scythe in his hand rubbed against the ground, rubbing out the sparks, making people feel completely cold inside. I saw that he was in the same state as before, except for the black he was wearing was damaged and blood was flowing all over his body. On the contrary, now that this is a kung fu, his hideous smile is even more terrifying. Forward. Hidan, who has an immortal body, can't be solved by ordinary Sweden, water-style ninjutsu in their area. It's almost. Not long after, the last remaining ninjas in Takian village have all fallen. Defeat. The final price for each of them, all is death. The secret technique of scale and powder concealment. And the nan-tailed Jinchuriki column Li Feng, she has also begun to take action. Several Takigakushi ninjas who escorted him were killed. Even if she doesn't want to take action, this is simply impossible. He opened his mouth and blew, and at this time, countless particles of scale powder appeared, and they scattered down like white crystal fragments. Is very beautiful, but it also contains infinite murderous intentions. Hidan, who had just killed the Nantai Jinchuiki, column Lifeng, when he saw this. After that, the surrounding area has become a blank space. He has been completely paralyzed, and his vision has been blocked as if he has become blind. At the same time, Jinchuriki column Lifeng, a seven-tailed person, also slowly grew a pair of wings behind her. Is exactly the same as the wings of the tailed beast Chongming, but what she grows is not so huge. Wings. The seven-tailed Jinchuriki column Lifeng has come to the top of Hidan's head. Was murder in her eyes, and a quick hand seal in her hand, sweetened water-style water. Raiden thunder-style false darkness. At this time, there is no waiting. Jinchuriki column Lifeng from Nantai went to release ninjutsu, and suddenly there was a squeak sound on the other side. It is a terrifying Raiden thunder-style ninjutsu, it like a spirit snake, it is rushing towards Jinchuriki column Lifeng, a nan-tailed man. Seeing the attack of Raiden thunder-style in front of him, Nantai Jinchuiki column Lifeng didn't dare to be careless, the whole person flapped his wings and gave up attacking Hidan immediately. Choose to explode back to the back. Hula, the effect of the secret spell scale powder hidden just now dissipated, and Hidan's figure reappeared. Stop dawdling, take her back quickly, we have other things to do. At this time, an indifferent voice came, and I saw the corner that had not been shot just now, all came over. Behind him followed a towering monster, its tall and broad body was pitch black, and it wore a mask like a ghost on its face, which made it very uncomfortable to look at. Look closely, it is constantly flickering with lightning dots all over its body at the moment, and Jinchuriki column Lifeng can clearly know that the horror Raiden thunder style just now is. It is released. Two strange guys. Jinchuriki column Lifeng bit Kiba and looked at the two strange people, her brows furrowed, revealing a thorny feeling. Now an undead monster has given her a very headache. But looking at it this way now, this guy who didn't shoot is also very strange. Okay. Here, Hidan's face showed an unhappy look, his eyes were fixed on Nantai Jinchuiki column Lifeng, and he smiled slowly, then let's fight quickly. Hidan, who had finished speaking, rushed towards him with a sneer, and he immediately threw the sickle out of his hand, wrapping it around Jinchuriki column Lifeng, the Nantai Doden Earth-style Earth Spear technique. At this time, horns, all immediately. Hand seal with both hands, and did not stand by and watch. The guy in front of him is weak, and he is also a dangerous person. He knows it well. At this time of Hulula, I saw Kokaku. All of them used Doden, Earth-style, ninjutsu instead of attacking Nantai Jinchuriki, Column Lifeng, but he himself had some changes. It can be clearly seen that with the strength of chakra condensing Doden, Earth-style, his two arms have slowly begun to become hardened. Tentacles, heavy punch. Everything happened in a flash of light, only in half a second. Zhao, all raised both hands and pointed to the front. Chapter 355. The Real Ability, Third More. Zhao, in front of the capital is the Nantai Jinchuiki, Column Lifeng. As Hidan rushed over, he didn't stop there. Now obviously, after so long delay, Zhao, all already want to catch the Nantai Jinchuriki, Column Lifeng as soon as possible. Hula sees the horns. Du's hands are immediately separated from the limbs, and 5 black tentacles are used as the final link, so that they can stretch unrestrictedly, making people feel chilled all over the body. Before Kaide had time to scare all this, she burst back. Because the horns, all hardened by Doden's Earth-style, double-armed fists, they had already bombarded her. The terrifying power made a sound of breaking through the air. His attack was no weaker than Tsunade's strange power, and its destructive power was extremely strong. The surrounding tall tree was directly knocked down. With a loud bang, Jinchuriki Column Lifeng, the nan-tailed man, jumped wildly in his heart. How can this weird guy be so powerful? Where are you looking? At this time, a loud shout appeared, and Hidan had dodged to the front of Nantai Jinchuriki Column Lifeng. The 3 scythes in his hand had now been swung out by him, slashing in front of Nantai Jinchuriki Column Lifeng and go. If she can't dodge now, she will definitely be cut off by the waist, and she will die without a whole body. Damn. The 7-tailed Jinchuriki Column Lifeng bit Kiba. She fluttered her wings and quickly dodged again. The whole person was completely passive at the moment. With a swoosh, he was just over half a millimeter away, and he died here directly. After a short period of battle, it is now more and more in a state of being suppressed. Nantai Jinchuiki Column Lifeng, her thoughts were racing in her mind, but no matter how she thought about it, she had never heard of such a strange ninja on the ninja world. Never mind, let's fight. Pressure of his thoughts, the hand seal of Jinchuiki Column Lifeng, a Nantai, has already started, and he released his ninjutsu towards Hidan who was running in front of him. Sweeten, Water-style, Water Dragon Bullet. Chakra quickly condenses to form a huge Sweeten, Water-style, dragon. As soon as it appeared, it rushed towards Hidan with its big mouth open and roaring. With such a mind at the moment, Jinchuiki Column Lifeng of Nantai can't choose close combat at all. This guy can't be killed, and if she fights with Jinchuriki Column Lifeng from Nantai is not stupid, and now she is unwilling to accept it, but there is nothing she can do about it. Because of this ferocious guy in front of him, even if he was pierced through his heart, he could still be alive. Sweeten, Water-style, Water Curtain. At this time, although Nantaran Jinchuiki Column Lifeng wanted to distance himself from him, Hidan did not advance or retreat at all. Because behind him, there are actually powerful high-pressure water cannons. They are almost like large missiles, skipping Hidan and bombarding this Sweeten, Water-style, giant dragon. Boom, boom. Suppressed by the number of high and powerful forces, in just half a second, the Sweeten, Water-style, dragon that just left has collapsed and disintegrated. What? Of Nantai Jinchuriki Column Lifeng, who had not had time to go to the next attack, changed drastically. I saw the front corner. On the other side of the capital, I don't know when another black monster appeared. It has an oval body, green facial lines, and although it is not very tall, its arms are quite long. Corner. After the Raiden Thunder-style mask monster, the Sweeten, Water-style mask monster has been summoned again. Although his complexion remains the same now, he still shows a strong state when facing Jinchuriki Column Lifeng, a Nantai. It is very unrealistic to want to suppress her quickly without using her real skills. Sweeten, Water-style, Great Exploding Water Colliding Wave. Quickly use ninjutsu again. Horn. The sweetened water style mask monster behind you. It has opened its mouth and violently spewed a turbulent water curtain in front of it. A tsunami, it moved towards the overwhelming suppression of the Nantai Jinchuriki column Lifeng. Zilala, Raiden Thunder style go. It's not over yet. The Raiden Thunder style mask monster on the other side bursts out with crackling blue thunderbolts. With a wave forward, the blue thunderbolts seem to have life as usual. The tsunami is directed towards the sweetened water style in front. An instant. Just looking at the surging waves of sweetened water style, it suddenly became extremely violent. The sound of sizzling continued to fill the surroundings, and the entire water surface has been spread by the power of lightning. The power of the entire ninjutsu is covered by thunder and lightning, and I don't know how terrifying it has been strengthened. Crap. Jinchuriki column, S eyes widened and his heart sank. I still underestimate these two guys. There is already this undead monster in front of him, and he is madly killing himself. The side is the compound ninjutsu of Raiden Thunder style and sweetened water style, which is swallowing itself. Whether it's retreating, or using the help of wanting to fly above the sky, that kind of retreat is very slim. Now, even though he has left the ground, the ninjutsu of the guy behind is too weird. By his ninjutsu inadvertently. Blink of an eye, a few seconds passed quickly, and the attack of the two had once again come before the eyes of Jinchuriki column Lifeng, the Nantai. The two of them worked together seamlessly, just to force her. Apparently, now Coke, Duo and Hidan also want to capture them alive, so the power they use is very subtle. Made Jinchuriki column Lifeng uncomfortable, but it made her feel that she still had a chance. A terrifying force of coercion vented out. Jinchuriki column Lifeng, Nantai, she still couldn't restrain her anymore. The whole person slowly became emotional, excited, and Yuhi-colored bubbles began to appear around. Immediately, they began to cover the body of the seven-tailed Jinchuriki column Lifeng, and then completely wrapped the whole body. It can be perceived that her chakra power has completely increased several times now. And on her waist, a thick tail was slowly condensed and swayed behind. Tailed Beast Transformation Coat. It is the initial stage of the whole Tailed Beast transformation. Although the seven-tailed Jinchuriki column Force Feng cannot 100% control the seven-tailed Shigame. But in this state, she can still control it perfectly. And even though she looks a little crazy now, her sanity is still there. She has not been swallowed by Shigeki Naneo. Whoosh. When the transformation was completed, she rushed towards Hidan in an instant, extremely fast. Cracks appeared on the ground under her feet, and rubble jumped out. Compared with the previous strength, Jinchuriki column Lifeng of Nantai is different now. Her chakra is very disordered at the moment, but it is very powerful. Hidan just felt a shadow of Yuhi passing by, and Jinchuriki column Lifeng came to him. Enter. Chapter 356. Three-person battle. N. Hidan saw the Nantai man Jinchuriki column Lifeng in front of her. She didn't retreat but went forward to kill him, showing a hint of surprise. But then the surprise had slowly turned into excitement, because he was not afraid at all. Next second. With a bang, sparks splattered. Hidan blocked the three-stage scythe in front of him, and Nantai Jinchuriki column Lifeng swiped forward and hit it firmly. She has been strengthened at this moment, and the strength of the whole person is extremely tyrannical. This punch has the bonus of the tail beast coat, forcing Hidan back hundreds of meters. Very irritable, although Feng, who is now a tailed beast, actually seems to have an advantage, she is no longer in love. Because two people are too strange to her. Although now he has the bonus of tail beast transformation, Feng is very cautious as a whole. Just a short moment, 3220. She already wanted to leave here. However, when the three-man battle was still happening here, Gong Yi stood in the distance and waited quietly. He was waiting to sit back and enjoy. Especially after such a short time, when he saw that the two of them forced the Jinchuriki column force of the Nantai to release the tailed beast, he smiled faintly. Unexpectedly, now the corner, both Hidan and the two also have a set of experience in arresting Jinchuriki column force. Now pain needs them to be captured alive. It is impossible to kill them, so they must be exhausted. For the human Jinchuriki column power, the power of chakra is very numerous, and if you want to really consume it, the two of them are definitely far from enough. Then we can only make Jinchuriki column force-tailed beasts, and then take advantage of their unconsciousness to quickly suppress them. This is the case, after they have consumed chakra to a large extent because of the tail beast transformation. This is beneficial for them to do it. Although this seems to be troublesome, it is very simple for Angle, Du and Hidan. Now this is only a few simple rounds of fighting, and they have already been forced out of the tailed beast, and it can be seen that they are about to succeed. Haha, hurry up. Gong Yi stood quietly on the towering trees, looking at the battlefield ahead, and muttered to himself. Boom! In the field, the battle of the three people did not stop. Who has entered the state of tailed beast, is indeed not weak, but it is also very embarrassing to deal with a lunatic like Hidan. She couldn't do anything at all, because no matter how injured the guy in front of her was, he couldn't die at all. And the guy in the back, his ninjutsu is also constantly used, making her a little overwhelmed. Here, Jinchuriki column Li Feng, the seven-tailed man, is still using the phantom tail behind him to bombard Hidan. But unfortunately, the three-stage side in front of Hidan's hand is extremely strong and has not been damaged at all. Especially this skill, it can be seen from his hideousness that although he has begun to gradually fall into passive, it makes him more and more excited. The wounds caused by the battle with the Takian village ninjas all over his body were bleeding continuously, but he couldn't make him appear weak at all. However, just when Jinchuriki column Li Feng, a Nantai person, had just come to her thoughts, Hidan actually immediately chose to avoid her. Instead of confronting her head-on, I avoided her directly. Kaden fire style worked hard. The seven-tailed Jinchuriki column Li Feng, just after her face showed surprise, she saw the flames covering Hidan's back. As if to completely burn herself to ashes, the scorching temperature distorted the entire surrounding air, making people feel that it was terrifying. Too late to avoid it, the tailed beast-like coat swelled rapidly, and countless blisters gathered together turbulently, wrapping the maple tightly. The flames covered it, just like Wang Yang, it burned the entire jungle around it. In just an instant, this place began to become a sea of flames, making it impossible for people to set foot in it. It's almost there. Seeing the flame in front of him, a Yuhi-colored figure rushed out of it angrily, standing in the back corner. They all spoke lightly. After such a long time of stimulation, the current Nantai Jinchuriki column force, he felt that he should have gone berserk. In this moment of spare time, he had a way to subdue it and bring it back alive. Course, just when Hidan and Zhao were ready to attack, the Nantai Jinchuriki column Li Feng actually chose to run away. That's right. Now the scene where the Jinchuriki column force of the two of them thought of a crazy outbreak of power did not appear at all. I saw that when she rushed out of the sea of fire, immediately leaving towards the depths of the jungle. The speed is very fast. The current Hidan and Horn both want to chase again. It is impossible. Because of the current Nantai Jinchuriki column force, she has already ignored it. The whole all-human strength is used to escape. It ran away. Carrying a three-stage scythe on his shoulders, Horns all looked at the Nantail Jinchuriki column force, who had no shadow, and was a little surprised. He never imagined that he would be able to meet such an unprincipled person, Jinchuriki column force. Senses, Hidan looked at Zhao Du with a nonchalant smile and said, I said Zhao Du, it looks like things are messed up. Leave first. Silence for half a second. Zhao all looked at the sea of fire in front of him, and a piece of black smoke was already floating in the sky like a signal. It is estimated that it won't be long before Takian village will find out the abnormality, and Kakuo, although they are not afraid, they do not want to make trouble. After all, Akatsuki is now keeping a low profile. If the capture of the tailed beast is discovered this time, then the rest of the previous incidents will also be blamed on Akatsuki. So don't even think about it, the two will be blamed by pain, which is not what the angle, both hoped for. As for chasing Jinchuriki Lijao, I don't feel that way now, because she has disappeared at all, and everything can only be left to fate. Okay. Hidan shrugged and looked at the corner, all answered. Shua, Zhao, I didn't say any more, the whole person dodged and left. Boom, boom. Here, 1. Nantai Jinchuriki Lifeng, who had fled from the battlefield, had run far away. From the beginning, she didn't even want to be entangled with Hidan and Horns, both. Living in a small ninja village, she can see some things better than those from the big village, Jinchuriki column. She will not because of some so-called dignity, thereby losing his own life. Especially in the face of such two monsters now, it is even more worthless. Has been thinking about how to leave since the beginning of her tail beast transformation. Cadent Fire style of Coke, to was released, she had actually accumulated strength. Of course, that's not to fight back, but to want to leave. As a human Jinchuriki column force, I want to leave, but I can't stop it if I can stop it. However, at the same time, to see the underlined version of the novel, Baidu search 99 Playmates find 99 Novel Network. Chapter 357. The Perfect Plan. However, just when Jinchuriki Lifeng, a Nantai, she was still complacent. Gong Yi has come to her rear. When Gong Yi was preparing the mantis to catch the cicada, and the oriole was behind, he didn't even think about it. This Nantai Jinchuiki column force, she actually ran away. Of course, the current Feng is not slow, but he can't get rid of Gong Yi at all. I ran away. Hee, but it's not bad now. Following behind Jinchuriki Lifeng, a Nantai man, Gong Yi's mind came up with a perfect plan. You can either let yourself get the chakra of Nanao, or you can let someone from Akatsuki take the blame for yourself. On the bright side, the entire ninja continent is catching and guarding against them, and I can continue to carry out the plan of the small 10 tails Jinchuriki column force in the dark. Thinking of these, Gong Yi has already started a quick hand seal transformation technique. With a bang, white smoke appeared around Gong Yi. By the time he appeared, he had already changed into the appearance of Zhao Du's just ordinary disguise turned into ninjutsu, and did not use advanced ninjutsu. Now its role, just need to disguise its original identity 29, that's enough. Of course, the chakra that it maintains that does not belong to itself consumes a lot of chakra, and it continues. Fortunately, with my own practice, these chakra, I haven't taken it to heart yet. As long as you think about it, you can keep doing it. It's time to start. The corners of Gong Yi's mouth rose slightly, and the whole person immediately threw a characteristic kunai forward. The technique of Horaishin. Almost in an instant, Gong Yi, who was behind Jinchuriki Lifeng, who was behind Nantai, blinked a few times. It has already been followed. Futon Wind Style Big Bang 5. Gong Yi has already started hand seal with both hands after seeing Jinchuriki Lifeng. Immediately after, he puffed out his mouth and spit out a wisp of wind. When it first appeared, it didn't have any power, just like the breeze, but after it touched the air for a few seconds. But it rose with the storm. Then it was like a violent tornado, moving towards Nantai Jinchuriki force hangs up there. The sound of the wind whistling around was roaring, and the high-pressure air knife condensed made it nowhere to grow, and everything would be destroyed. Damn, they're chasing after them again. Jinchuriki Lifeng from Nantai felt the futon wind style whistling behind her. She looked out of the corner of her eyes and felt a chill in her heart. This chakra power. How can it be so powerful all of a sudden? Gong Yi didn't hide his power, it was just the change in appearance. Of course, the Nantai Jinchuriki power didn't care anymore. Because now she is running away, how can she pay attention to these things? Speed increased again, trying to avoid the terrifying futon, wind-style attack. Doden, earth-style, rampart of flowing soil. At this time, just as the nan-tailed Jinchuriki column tried to speed up and wanted to leave, Gong Yi's face. Wrong indifferent has already hand sealed again. As if he already knew Akatsuki long ago, this Nantai Jinchuriki column Li Feng moves. The rumbling sound of the rumbling sound appeared, and the whole jungle seemed to have an earthquake, making it impossible for people to stand firm. I saw that the front suddenly started to bulge, and a large piece of soil had appeared in the front that was still flat. No, don't wait until the Nantai Jinchuriki column Li Feng gets closer and closer. You can see that the wall in front of you is not an ordinary Doden, earth-style wall at all. It's a huge, thick, steep wall of mountains. It's astonishing, like a flat mountain that appears out of nowhere. Front and back. At this time, she could no longer move forward to escape. She could only turn around and choose to resist this terrifying futon, wind-style ninjutsu. Gong Yi is not using his signature ninjutsu now. As wind attribute, thunder attribute, water attribute, fire attribute, soil attribute. The 5 attributes are all grandmasters. His ninjutsu skills to capture the Naneo chakra. After all, this can also effectively reduce the exposure of one's own identity, and can also use one's own ninjutsu more perfectly, so as to find the shortcomings that have not yet been discovered. Killing 2 birds with 1 stone, why not do it? Boom! The loud noise appeared, Gong Yi came back to his senses, and the 7 tails Jinchuriki column Li Feng no longer ran away, but resisted futon, wind-style, and came down. Using Doden, earth-style, to change the interception barrier formed by the landform, the 7-tailed Jinchuriki column Li Feng could not break through at all, and she was also helpless. Want to really leave now? If you don't kill the people who are chasing after you, then it's not realistic at all. Now that I have been consuming like this, the only person who suffers in the end is myself. This is forcing me. The 7-tailed Jinchuriki column Li Feng, who was swallowed by futon, wind-style, she bit Kiba and felt the high-pressure wind oppressing herself, and the whole person has a tendency to run away. Apparently being forced again and again, she also has the dignity of a human Jinchuriki column. Gong Yi pretends to be a character. Both, Nanwiran Jinchuiki column Li Feng naturally doesn't know Akatsuki. She is still there. I think it's just 2 weirdos who are aggressive. Roar. A roar appeared in futon, wind-style, she can't bear it anymore. No matter what she is dead, she already wants to hold, horn, all. They both paid for their lives. Whoa, the powerful and iconic tailed beast chakra appears. Gong Yi had stopped on the thick branch at this moment, and looked up in front of him. 3. She has already appeared in futon, wind-style, the previous humanoid appearance has completely disappeared, replaced by a huge insect flying in the sky. Its upper body is blue armor like a beetle head, and its lower body is a green abdomen like a tonbo. The huge 6-sided orange wings are flapping behind him, and a thick tail in the middle is draped behind him. Such a remarkable trait has already represented its identity, Naneo Shigeki. Nanwei Jinchuiki column Li Feng has released it and is ready to kill it all. The plan went well. Gong Yi watched Chongming appear, and he smiled. All the ninjutsu attacks just now were to force Shigeki Naneo out. Of course, this time Gong Yi is not going to kill it, on the contrary he will help Feng to reseal it. Let Akatsuki take the blame, how could there not be a witness? And this guy who needs to replace his own propaganda, Nantai Jinchuriki column force is the best choice. It is estimated that the appearance statement of this person Jinchuriki column force. But it should be lower than countless suspicions or propaganda. And the obvious sign of Akatsuki, it is estimated that it will be widely spread in the ninja continent along with the Nantai Jinchuriki column force maple. As soon as he thought of this, Gong Yi flashed away. When he reappeared, he had already come to Zongming's eyes. Sage art mode is on. Failu reminds you. Chapter 358. You are very lucky. Among the 9-tailed beasts, Shigeki Nantai is the only tailed beast that can fly, and if Gongyi does not use Sage Mode, it will be difficult to deal with it. At least the disadvantage that he can only fight on land, because the flight bonus brought by Sage Mode is gone. Now the battle with Nanao Shigeki can be a lot easier for himself. Anyway, I'm not ready to put it to death now, just need a part of its body. In this way, I don't have to go to much trouble. Human, you used my chakra, and you have to release me. At this time, Nanao Shigeki seemed to be talking to Feng, and his tone was full of sarcasm, so now that you are willing to lift the seal, you can sleep peacefully forever. Kaide did not fully control Shigeki Nanao, and the two of them can only say now. But they have reached an initial cooperative relationship. She should only be able to use some of Nanao Shigeki's chakra to achieve the state of the initial tailed beast, which is far from the previous killer bee, Jinchuriki Column Power Killer Bee, and two-tailed people Jinchuriki Column Power Niyugito, they are so complete control state. Now that such a full-form tailed beast appears, Feng can't control it at all, she is now compelled to do so. By a terrifying compound ninjutsu like Gongyi, she had already fought continuously before, and she had absolutely no chance of winning. Since it may also be killed now, then Feng knows that he might as well release Nanao and die with him. However, since I have cooperated with you in the past, Nanao Shigeki said, and then looked at Gongyi in front of him, then this weak human, I will help you kill him. Oh. Gongyi felt that Nanao Shigeki's killing intent locked on him. He didn't have the slightest tendency to retreat, but said lightly, it seems that the tone of this tailed beast is more terrifying than the other. The words fell. Gongyi's whole body's strength has suddenly skyrocketed at this time, but today you are very lucky, because I will not kill you. Won't kill me. Although Gongyi's voice was small, it was clearly heard by Shigeki Nanao, who was obviously surprised. What a big tone. Saying that, Nanao Shigeki fluttered the 6 huge wings behind his back, and attacked Gongyi directly. Huh. Seeing that Shigeki Nanao had already started, Gongyi flicked his wrist and threw out his characteristic kunai. The art of Hiraishin. Shigeki Nanao, who had just been very fast, immediately smashed into the air, because Gongyi was even more agile than his speed. When he reappeared, Gongyi had already come to its back, hand seal with both hands. Xuanwang's big hand buzzed slowly behind him, and slapped Shigeki Nanao fiercely. What? At this moment, Nanao Shigeki only felt a blackness behind him, subconsciously surprised. This little human is not only fast, but also really terrifying, but although Nanao Shigeki was terrifying, he didn't let Xuanwang's big hand pat it down, and the tail behind it flicked forward, like a chain steel whip swept forward. However, the current Gongyi has no intention of this at all, and the whole person once again cast out several characteristics of kunai in an instant. The technique of Hiraishin has been used very skillfully by him. Mokuden, wood-style technique of killing thorns. Gongyi said. Several sturdy wooden Jinchuriki column immediately appeared in the surrounding earth, and immediately rose from the ground, directly skyrocketing tens of meters high, towering into the clouds. In the next second, Nanao Shigeki was still there. Make a move against the big hand of Xuanwang. When it counterattacked, it was already surrounded by clumps, like a wooden prison. Swish, swish, swish. After they had surrounded Nanao Shigeki, there was another change on the wooden Jinchuriki column, and countless wooden rattans appeared immediately. They were like spirit snakes, and they all began to rush towards Nanao. Go, prepare to entangle and bind it. The wood Jinchuriki column on the periphery is indestructible, and the countless rattans around it start to circle around Nanao. Wings, upper body, lower body, tail, all began to be entangled by rattan. Human, you are courting death. Nanao Shigeki saw that he had just appeared, and was actually suppressed by others, and he vaguely began to get angry. Obviously for it is like a human being the size of an ant, and it can easily kill it. But now that he has turned around, he has actually started to be passive, and even seems to have been a little immobilized. swish, dodged away and came to the side of Nanao. Gong Yi's face was indifferent, like a god who doesn't eat the fireworks of the world, and his contempt suddenly erupted. He completely ignored Nanao at all, even ignoring its anger. Cut. A low voice, Gong Yi swung towards Nanao with his bare hands. Immediately, a golden light appeared in Gong Yi's hands. I saw that the hand that Gong Yi just swung down was empty, but at this moment there were countless golden light spots, and they slowly condensed a golden longsword. PFF'd, it was originally a sturdy body of a tailed beast. At this moment, it is like thin paper under the golden blade in Gong Yi's hands, completely vulnerable. I saw one of the 6 huge wings of Nanwei. Gong Yi completely cut off half of it. Whoosh, the seal scroll swung down. Gong Yi immediately sealed it inside, then dodged to the ground and caught the slowly falling scroll. Putting it away, Gong Yi looked up at Nanao, who was already roaring in the sky, and smiled lightly. Recycling is complete. From the beginning to the end, Gong Yi acted like Lu Yun, and even his indifferent expression did not change at all. But Nanao is the exact opposite of him, from calm before to horror, to extreme anger now. The time is right, and you should go back now. Seeing that there was a lot of noise on my side, it was not far from Takian village, but it was estimated that there were already ninjas over there. In order not to affect his plans, Gong Yi naturally did not want to have too many meaningless entanglements with Nanao. What did you say? Heard Gong Yi finish speaking, his entire huge body trembled with anger. However, the Mokudan wood style rattan around it completely restrained it, making it impossible to escape for a while. Of course, after Gong Yi finished speaking, he stopped talking, and the whole person has come to his eyes. A massive chakra power has begun to burst out suddenly. No, you are real. Feel the power of this seal. Nanao Shigeki's complexion changed greatly. It finally knew that the man in white clothes in front of him was not joking with himself. Because now he really has the power to seal himself. Please read the underlined version of the novel. Download Filu Shoukan latest chapter. Baidu search 99 Playmate find 99 Novel Network. Chapter 359. As the Gong Yi hand seal pressed towards Nanao Shigeki, it began to tremble, and then it became twisted. A tyrannical attraction can't help but completely suppress it and bring it back into the body of the human Jinchuriki column force. The person just now was Jinchuriki column Li Feng. She has reappeared, her whole face is frowning and her eyes are closed. Now she never imagined that she would die, but was saved by Gong Yi. As for Nanao Shigeki, he was even more aggrieved, because he had his wings cut off without doing anything at all, and was completely sealed. Now, even if he talks to Jinchuriki column force, he can no longer talk to him. Gong Yi used a secret art to seal the body of Jinchuriki column force. Here, when Nanao Shigeki was completely sealed, Gong Yi did not leave directly, he was quietly watching Feng lying on the ground. But this will be a skill, Gong Yi seems to feel it. He turned his head and looked at the other side. Are you coming? He shook his head, ignoring it. After Gong Yi briefly cleaned up the battlefield, he walked away. Now that the show has been done, the rest of the things, just rely on the strength of the Nantai Jinchuriki column to promote it. Swish, swish, swish. Soon, several ninjas were already dodging by Gong Yi's side. They are wearing the ninja costumes of Takian village, and the forehead guards on their faces are also the symbols of Takian village. A group of people swept in all directions with anxious expressions on their faces. Just now they were in the corner. Both came over to the battlefield with Hidan, and they haven't come to shock the scene there. Now that they saw this place in front of them, they felt even more terrified. How could this be? It was horribly damaged. My God, what the hell is going on here? The surroundings that came into view were already a pitch-black scorched earth. The entire jungle, which was still lush before, was severely damaged, and all the traces of the battle were destroyed, and it was impossible to check out anything. But the only thing that can be known is that the battle has just started, because there is still a ray of flame that can be felt. How have you found Feng? A swish, another Taki and Jonan flashed over again. Looking at the people in front of him now, he asked with a pale face. They came here, of course, to find the Jinchuriki column force of the Nantai who was transferred. After what they saw and heard just now, and looking at the corpses of the Takian village ninjas that had been killed all over the floor, they knew that someone really took aim at Jinchuriki column force of the Nantai people in their Takian village. Everyone's face was covered with a haze, which was very uncomfortable, because they all had a bad premonition. Captain, I haven't found it yet. Biting Kiba, a Taki hidden village genin reported. Bastard, who is it, who is actually paying attention to the tailed beast? Don't let me know about him, I must fight with him. Does anyone want to pick now? On the other side, several Takian village ninjas were also furious, and they were a little angry. They were already very careful, even at the risk of diverting the force of Jinchuriki column. Afraid of what's coming, and now it's time to work hard, and it's just that something happened to them. Everyone felt that a nameless fire was simmering in their stomachs, and they felt a little annoyed. Captain, she's here, I found Maple. Soon, just as a group of Takian village ninjas were scolding, someone on the other side suddenly shouted. I saw that there was an intact jungle, and it was not destroyed, and it still looked peaceful and quiet. Hearing this, Taki hidden village Jonan immediately came there in a flash. It's actually a maple. Seeing the blue-green short-haired girl lying here, Taki and Jonan had a happy face. It seems that Kaide has successfully repelled the enemy. Great, now we finally know who's playing the trick. Jinchuriki column force, who wants to covet our Takian village, deserves to die. Seeing that Feng was still alive, everyone didn't think much about it now. Since she was not taken away, she must be the victor of this war. Naturally, they didn't know that behind the entire two battles, Gung Yi was the director. Quick, take Feng back and talk about it. With a big wave of his hand, one of the Takian village ninjas carried Maple on his back, and a group of people quickly returned to Takian village. Far away. At this moment, it is already a long way from Takian village. On a spacious road, the two of them were walking quietly towards the front. Zhao, Du, it's all your fault this time, you have to interfere. Hidan was carrying a 3-stage scythe and looked at the corner next to him. If I were to perform a ritual on her and cut off her legs directly, wouldn't I be able to successfully catch her? Are you sure? Kokaku, both looked gloomy, looked at Hidan and said. Humph. Hidan didn't look at him, looked at him coldly. Wait back and see how you explain to the boss. Tell the truth. Corner, they all replied calmly. At the same time, when the two of them were about to leave here, Jinchuriki column force Kaide of Naneo was taken back to Takian village. Takino Hospital is said to be a hospital, but it is not as perfect as Konoha in terms of scale. Because of the small size of the village, there are obviously not many talents in various fields. Especially precious medical ninjas, that is, there are very few. At this moment on the hospital bed, a medical ninja from Takian village has put down his hands. The green light on her palm gradually disappeared. How is she? Chief, she should be fine, it's just that chakra is overdrafted. Takigakushi medical ninja, she looked at an old man standing behind her and said respectfully, it is estimated that after a while, you should be able to wake up. Well, I'm waiting here. Nodding his head, the leader of Takigak had his hands behind his back, and he looked a lot older. After all, this unfortunate thing was actually hit by Takian village, and he was very depressed as the controller. Of course, now that I can see that the Jinchuriki column force of the Nantai people in my village can come back, this is already a fortune in misfortune. Boss, why don't you go back and wait for a while? Here, the senior Takigakushi who was beside him said with concern. The leader of Takigak raised his hand to stop him from continuing to speak, but he kept his eyes fixed on Feng who was lying on the hospital bed and said slowly, No, I'm just here waiting for her to wake up. I want to take a look who the hell wants to be the public enemy of the entire ninja world, actually wants to collect tailed beasts. Chapter 360. The Maker of Chaos. That's right. The leader of Takigakura already knew something through the matter of Jinchuriki, column force of Nanao people today. Under his guess, in the entire ninja world, there may be someone who secretly collects tailed beasts. However, it is because the strength is not strong that it may not be able to suppress some tailed beasts, which causes them to run wild. The Night of Kyubi, 9 Tails, in Konoha village, and the 6-tailed riot at Mizukage-Jonan in Kurigakure village, were attributed to the failure of the capture due to his lack of strength by the leader of Takigaku. Today, seeing Jinchuriki, column Lifeng, a Nantai in his village, since she can survive, the leader of Takigak can confirm his thoughts even more. There is such a plan, but there is not enough power, which has led to the situation that everyone in the ninja world is now in danger. The death of the 4-tailed Jinchuriki, column Li Laozi, and the disappearance of the 4-tailed Monkey King, the creator of all this chaos, must be the mysterious person who was repelled by Kaide today. Thinking of this, the leader of Takigakura looking at Feng with closed eyes, he just wanted to wait for her to wake up today so that he can ask questions. Otherwise, it would be like a thorn, stabbing in his heart, making him sleepless at night. Damn, there are still people who dare to play the tailed beast's idea. They won't succeed, the tailed beast is so easy to catch. It's really daring to actually try to collect tailed beasts, this is really not knowing whether to live or die. Standing next to the leader of Takigakushi, a few high-level officials, they were a little incredulous. They said in disbelief. Everyone's face also showed a trace of anger. Obviously this kind of behavior can't be forgiven. Tail Beast is the most terrifying weapon in the entire ninja continent, and it is also the most powerful trump card that shocks each other. Now that some people want to use them, they are threatening the entire ninja continent. No matter which ninja village, if they knew about this, they would naturally not give up. That's why Gong Yi didn't swagger to collect the tailed beasts in the first place. Because if you are not careful, this will provoke the siege of the entire ninja world. Although Gong Yi is not afraid, he also doesn't want to make trouble for himself and be taken advantage of by those who are interested. Well, I have to say, this kind of behavior is indeed a bit bold. Nodding his head, the leader of Takigak couldn't deny. A complex look appeared in his eyes. Obviously this will work, he is still thinking here. Since I want to collect tailed beasts, then it is invisible. I want to be detrimental to the entire ninja continent. Leader of Takigakushi is not the savior of the world, so he naturally did not worry about the safety of the rest of the ninja village. What he is worried about now is the safety of his own Takian village. Usually, when something like this happens, it is not the first to be impacted by such powerful villages as Konoha village, Kumogakure village, etc. The first to be destroyed were small ninja villages like them. Leader of Takigakushi, he thought of these things in his mind now, his fist is and help clenching. The rest can ignore. But their Takian village must not be destroyed by themselves. Takian's leader's face is slowly firming, he is deciding something by himself. Cough. At this time, a light cough appeared, making everyone come back to their senses. Feng. It's Feng who wakes up. One of them, Takihide, saw that Maple's eyes had slowly opened, and said excitedly. Now no matter how they guess, it is not as good as Feng's own mouth. After all, she is the only one who has really experienced those things before. And in the power of several Jinchuriki column, the only one who survived is only her. Then everyone knows clearly in their hearts, if they want to know the truth of everything, if there is no Kaide, all guesses are just fantasies. Now that they see that Kaide has woken up, and the truth of everything, they can immediately reveal Akatsuki. Great. Feng, she really woke up. Now we can get effective information. The rest of Takigak's executives nodded, obviously they all thought the same thing. Maple. Leader of Takigak also stepped forward, looked at her faintly and shouted. As if hearing the sound, Feng slowly opened his eyes at this moment. The first thing that catches my eye is the high ceiling, and then the blurred scene on both sides slowly becomes clear. It was the leader of Takigakushi and a group of high-level officials, who were looking at her with expectation. When everything settled down slowly, Feng seemed to have thought of something unbelievable. He said incredulously, Chief. How is that possible? I am actually in the ninja hospital in Takian village. I actually survived that battle and I released Nanao, but my will was not swallowed up. Although I can no longer talk to Nanao, Kaide can feel that Nanao is sealed in himself. Right in the body. Could it be that you killed those two guys after Nanao ran wild? Feng was secretly horrified, but immediately denied it, saying, no. Those two strange guys can't be easily defeated, maybe they escaped. Feng, how are you? Of the leader Takigakushi interrupted Kaide's thoughts. No, it's okay, boss. Feng looked at the leader of Takigakushi, and said with some confusion in his mind, Leader, what's wrong with me? ... Her memories are somewhat overlapping now, and various thoughts emerge one after another, making her feel confused. Feng, you were attacked. Before waiting for the leader of Takigakushi to speak, a high-level man on the side said, and we guess this guy may be the person who caused the disappearance of the four tails and the runaway of the rest of the tailed beasts. The leader of Takigak nodded, looked at Feng and added, yes, when someone found you, you were already unconscious. I was attacked. Feng seemed to be slowly recovering his memory, and images kept appearing in his brain. I was attacked by two monsters. Yes. Hearing Kaide speak a little excitedly, the leader of Takigak immediately. He asked, two monsters like? That's right. Feng looked at the leader of Takigakushi and replied, one of them seems to have an immortal body, and the other can use foreign objects to release ninjutsu. The immortal body. Relying on foreign objects, you can release ninjutsu. This is really a monster. The surrounding senior Takigakura heard Kaide finish saying this. All of them sucked in the cold air. No matter how they think about it, they can't imagine now that there are such people in the ninja continent. At the same time, when Takigak's high-level people were shocked, the eyes of Takigak's leader here looked at Jinchuriki column Lifeng of Nanao. Enter.